Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cody Trout Pod. Today, I'm here with our version of MTV's Girl Code. I decided this week I wanted to further my own education on the female specimen. And what I meant by that was like all of us have a foursome. They misunderstood that and thought I wanted to like actually talk and have a conversation. So I guess we're going to do that instead. But I brought in
sign a contract for that.
The best.
You signed a contract?
I release form. I didn't sign a release form for that.
Consent forms are very important. So we're gonna sign those afterwards. That's how it works.
Sure.
Maybe. So today we brought in the all-star cast of the girls of the Cody Trout Pod. We have Blake returning from our first two episodes. She was a fan favorite.
Hello.
All the fan mail I've received. We have Marisa back again. And our first timer, our little popping her Trout Pod cherry.
It's got to happen sometime, you know.
My girlfriend, Paige.
Yay! Girlfriend of the podcast.
Girlfriend of the podcast.
Yes, yeah.
So thank you guys.
Kiss.
That was juicy.
Cody's a boner.
I've had one. I'm sitting within 3 feet of Paige. Are you kidding me? I'm Cody Troutman, and this is my podcast, the Cody Trout Pod. So today, reminiscent of MTV's Girl Code, one of the best shows ever created, we're gonna peel back the curtain, chop up the onion, if you will, seed the bud, as they call it. I don't know any more analogies than that, but I want to get inside the mind, the female mind. It's so complex, so versatile, and I want to understand what it's like to be a woman. Now that sounds weird.
Okay,
but
Caitlin.
I think it's time that the girls came on, because I'm a guy, so it's my show, so I'm giving a lot of takes from a guy's point of view. I think it's time to learn. And I want to know, first and foremost, I want to know what girls talk about when guys aren't around. Because, I'm watching these Hollywood movies and I think that they're poisoning my brain. I think they're pulling the wool over my eyes because all you see is girls jumping around in lingerie at a sleepover, like having a pillow fight, like, oop, my titty came out. Oh no, my titty came out too. It's like, oh, mine were already out. And then the whipped cream comes out and the rest is left to the imagination. I just don't think that's true. So what is it like when girls hang out and it's just the girls? What goes on?
It's gross.
It's gross? What about it is gross?
And real and gross.
It's raw.
Yeah. Well,
not like that?
not sexually, obviously,
okay.
But just like no veil of like
no veil.
Anything. It's just pure yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, you get really weird really fast.
Define weird. So what's like a weird thing that girls do when they all hang out together?
Oh, God, I think about like when I was a kid and I went to one of my first like little slumber parties.
Oh,
and,
here we go.
Like we were so young, like there was no drugs or alcohol. We were children.
Okay.
There was a shit ton of sugar.
Yeah.
And I was in like a garage and there was a ping pong table and we had a boombox because we didn't have iPods yet. So we're just playing like some random radio station. At one point in time, I just remember mid-party, like nobody's even looking at me. I'm standing on the ping pong table, like whipping my hair back and forth.
Elevated surfaces.
Just like out of control and everybody's just on one. You're just having a great time, no like concern about what anybody thinks. You're just losing your mind.
Okay.
You're like, this is what it is. Like I want to have a slumber party every night.
Yeah.
So at a childhood all-girls sleepover, you said elevated surfaces. I think that's key. Like if there's an elevated surface and you've got some type of, transformative substance at our age, perhaps alcohol or drugs. When we're kids, sugar does the trick. You get on there, whip your hair back and forth. So when the girls are together, it's more about letting the hair down and being yourself and just being gross, weird, and wild without fear of like guys ruining the good time.
Yeah, you have no concern of like
of anyone.
What some guy's gonna think of you.
Right.
am I being hot right now? Like,
Right, exactly.
You don't give a
Exactly.
fuck.
Like, am I being proper enough for like the outside world?
Okay, gotcha.
I will burp as loud as I want. Well, I'll do that anyway.
I was gonna say, I
But-
think you do that
I
anyway.
think I have several times.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Blake, what's your favorite thing about just hanging out with just the girls?
I think you talk more about like your poops and your farts and like what's coming out of your vagina that week, you know. Because
Gotcha.
it's just something, always something's
all
coming out, you know.
all the secretions.
But it's very more like just open. But then again, I feel like some guy friends that I'm close with, like I don't care about talking about poop or farts either. So, but like strictly girls,
Oh,
you talk more about like
game on.
your titties, your vagina, you know, like, but not like in a sexual way at all. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, my titties hurt today for no reason.
Like
Interesting.
bodily
Yeah.
functions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're definitely not showing each other your titties.
Right, you're not like whipping
No.
it out.
No.
and,
There was
yeah.
only like one time I've seen one of my best friend's tits, and it was on accident.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. We were like in junior high. We had just like developed tits, and we had both just got our first bikinis from Old Navy.
Whoa. So
I don't know. Do you
we're
remember your
talking
first
like
bikinis? Like,
Yes.
oh my god.
a transformative moment.
Yeah.
Talking about like being a woman and becoming a woman.
Right,
Like,
right there.
I've got my first bikini,
yeah.
and I'm going to wear it every chance I get. So we are.
We're talking to church,
still
to
in, like-
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in junior high, and we're like jumping on the trampoline in our bikinis, and we turn on. Have you ever like turned like the water on underneath your
Yes,
trampoline?
those are the best.
The best.
I've heard of it, but I never was allowed to jump on the trampoline because my mom thought I'd break my wrist or something. So.
She was right. Yeah, absolutely. And bless you.
Thank you.
So we're jumping on the trampoline and just like having a blast, and like we're joking around. We're showing each other like our trampoline tricks, and I like look over and her tits out, and I'm like, ooh, what is that? I'm like, Shiki, your titties out. She was like, oh my god, my she's like just like devastated that her tit is out. I just saw her tit. It was just all nipple. Like we didn't really have tits yet. So, oh man, but I will never let her forget it. I'm like, remember when I saw your one titty? It was the left one. I'll never forget.
The left,
left
one.
one.
That's
Yeah.
see the right one. It's like kind of that's for everybody, but the left one, like usually that's the more sacred one. So the
Yeah.
fact that you saw the
I
left one,
saw the left one. Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, she never showed me the right one.
Like we're dating, and I haven't seen the left one. Like that's
I know.
crazy.
I keep that one. Like, that's for like someone special.
You're saving it for marriage.
For Shiki.
Yeah. You're like, you see her left titty, you're like, it's okay, babe.
She won't let me show it.
You show her your left titty. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of a story. So this is not a specifically guy-girl related story, but it's really funny. I think I might have actually told part of this on the last episode. It's worth revisiting. I'll just cut to the good shit. So this was, and I have video footage of this moment occurring. And so I need to find it, but I know I have it somewhere because it was back when I was doing the vlogs. So I have real evidence of this happening. Anyway, cut to the good shit, Cody. We're outside the club. It was after a night out, and these two girls start fighting. And
Nice.
it was kind of like this is a phrase I steal from Paige because one time we saw a fight happening. And I was like, oh shit, like, you know, should we do something? Like the guys were not exactly like physically imposing, and Paige said, "Oh, what did you said? It doesn't look like they're very capable of hurting each other."
Yeah, I was like,
I love that.
I think they're all right. Like,
Really funny.
yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to do much.
It was absolutely true. This was a very similar situation. It was two really small white
Their
girls.
titties came out.
That would have been more hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah, so the story's gonna like, but what they said was really funny. And before like I turned and saw, all I hear is like I thought by the way they were talking, it was like two like super like large angry black girls, and then I turn around, no, it's these two little sorority girls like using this heavy black accent, like listen, bitch, I will tell. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are y'all talking like that?
Yeah.
So normally I would just let them do their thing. Maybe one of them like, you know, gets their hair pulled or something. But I had the camera, so I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is like World Star. So I went over and I'm like, oh my God, like kick that bitch's ass. Yes. And so like, what are you doing here? And so one girl gets dragged away by her friends, and the other girl she's there to do like the post-fight breakdown. It's almost like the post-game like interview.
Like
I'm
the
like, tell me.
commentator.
I'm like, tell me what went down, what started it, what kicked it off. Like, this is your time. We want to hear your story. And she's like, listen, this bitch is like, she was all up in my face, right? And I was like, right? And that's it. I was like, oh, what did she do? She was like, she was all up in my shit. I was like, so, okay, so why did the fight start? She's like, she had it coming. I was like, okay. She's like, let me put it to you like this. She deserved it. That's a promise. I'm going to put that on my mama. No, I'm going to put that on my mama's left titty. This bitch had it coming. I was like,
titty.
what?
The left
She was
one.
like, and then she like grabbed the hand and said, on my mama's left titty.
That's really good.
And so for a long time, my friends and I would like, anytime something was like really serious, be like, no, dude, on my mama's left titty. And that's how I knew it was for real. Cause I was like, the right one, that's for everybody. But the left titty, bro, like that's serious.
That's sacred.
It's over the heart.
Yeah.
That is over the heart. Yeah.
I remember I didn't know the heart was located like in the left side of your chest until I was like 23. I just thought it was like right in the middle. Like, cause so if you say like say you're like right in the heart of something, are you on the left side of it or are you right in the middle of it?
Technically,
I believe you're right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Saying
I
is
thought
not accurate. It's
exactly.
not, yeah.
I thought the saying, oh, I'm right in the heart of something. I'm in the middle. So I thought, oh, the heart has to be in the middle of the body. So I thought my heart was in the center of my crotch because that's right in the middle of my body. But then, then I took an anatomy class and I figured out it's more
So when
like
you did like the Pledge of Allegiance, you would hold your crotch.
your teacher's like, what's going on? What's going on, buddy? What's going on?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of God.
I have to go home.
So on our mama's left titties, I want to understand. You mentioned that like when it's girl talk, it gets a little grosser. It gets a little like some of the
Like raunchy.
Yeah.
It's raunchy for sure. Yeah.
And you mentioned that like when you get a bikini, you become a woman. I want to know. So the stereotype that I've like seen in movies and heard is that when you have your first period, that's when you become a woman. Now, is that true? And what was it like to get your first period? Because obviously I've never had a period.
He's laughing so hard.
I have a funny story. I'm waiting for him.
Oh, perfect.
Wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm
I'm gonna burst.
quick anecdote. No, I've never like. I would imagine I would be like a little scared. So what's it like?
I feel like, well, 5th grade, you're tortured with the video.
Oh no.
That you had to get the
is 5th
consent
grade.
form signed with parents and all that stuff. For that, I got this American Girl doll book. I don't know if either of you.
I've heard of it. I didn't get it,
Everyone-
but yeah.
Yeah, my mom's like, here's this American Girl doll book that's like, it's called like Changes with Your Body or the Body or something like that. And so it's like this book that tells you what's going to happen throughout your life and like the changes that are going to happen and like your period and growing boobs and like what that's going to feel like and look like and stuff. But
An American Girl doll book?
yeah, like,
It sounds very helpful, honestly.
yeah, honestly, it had pictures and it was pretty helpful. It was weird. She handed it to me and I was like, what is this? And she's like, you're about to go through puberty. I was like, okay. But yeah, so then after that, it was like 8th grade, got the first period, and everyone else had gotten theirs.
How old is that? 8th grade.
13?
13, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
a late
I was
bloomer.
8th grade too, and I was the last one. And I was like,
Last
damn,
day.
when is this thing gonna
Last
pop? Like, when
day.
is this gonna come out?
Right? Everyone else had like cute little tampon bags in their backpacks
Yeah.
and stuff, and I was like,
Or they would talk about like, oh my god, my cramps are so bad,
Yeah, and I'm
and
like,
I'd be like, me too.
my cramps. My
Like, you get
cramps.
cramps in your leg?
Right.
Yeah, those suck.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, you're a loser. And you're like, all right, well, I'm sorry that
That's
I
so
just
funny
am
you're
not
the
developed.
last one.
Yeah.
Wait, so it
last day of
becomes
8th grade.
competitive?
I mean, in a way, but just like,
Yeah, you see like your friends that get to like talk about all these things that are happening to your body, and you're just like, well, fuck, I'm like still in a
scared.
training
You don't want to be
bra
left
and
behind
like,
or like
yeah.
any
Interesting.
have anything like weird about you, like, oh, you still haven't had your period.
Oh,
Loser.
no. Yeah, that's true. In middle school, you don't want to be standing out.
No, you
like,
do not.
especially for like a bodily function.
Yeah.
For
So I
sure.
got my period the last day of 8th grade. It was, I texted, I was laughing because I texted all my friends and I was like, I am a woman. But then now I'm like, that's not when I was at all. So that's it's just funny because like you said, this is just like the stereotypical thing to like say like, oh, I'm a woman. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
No, you're just now of childbearing years. So
Yeah, now you're asking get pregnant.
now
so.
you can get pregnant. So that's all that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So at that time, though, it sounds like that stereotype was even present in your own mind. Like you think like, oh, like that's part of growing up.
Oh, for
so
sure.
you don't want to be left behind as like the little kid who didn't have their period.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm an adult too.
Yeah. So like, I mean, at 12, 13, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm so cool now. And then you're like, well, that time of month comes around. And you're like, oh, now I have to bring all this shit with me. I'm like, I gotta carry around a
right.
suitcase. I'm like,
You gotta hope to God you don't wear like white pants.
on like the wrong day that it just could potentially
even-
show up.
Yeah, not even white pants
No,
though. That shit will
dark
just
denim?
go through
Yeah.
right. Whatever
she
you're
doesn't
wearing.
care. She holds all the prisoners. She takes all the prisoners.
So it sounds like from your story, like at the when it finally happened, you got your first period. Like it was cool in the moment. How quickly does it just become annoying?
30 seconds after that.
30 seconds. I was gonna guess like a few months. No, it's like the next
like
day.
well, that same day.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, well, this is just annoying.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know how to use any of the applications I need to use. like,
Yeah,
any
you're
of the
like,
tools.
what's next?
Yeah.
I remember it not being my period. I remember finding my first pube hair.
Yeah, no, that's
Ooh,
mine.
remember
Or like
that?
having to
Yes.
actually, yeah. Or like
Yeah.
having to actually wear like a bra. Like you couldn't
Oh,
not
yeah.
wear a bra at that time. But now it's
Or your
fine.
mom tells you like, you're gonna have to start wearing.
Yes, exactly. yeah. Or
you're
like
like,
feeling like
really?
you have to like hunch.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, that was 6th grade for me.
Yeah.
That's the same as mine. I remember like in high school, the girls would talk about like shaving and stuff, and I was like, just not. I didn't want to like cut myself. It scared me, so I was just like I was scared. And so I remember in basketball we were changing, and I had just gotten a boyfriend, and I was like a senior, and like I'd already hated changing in front of people, but like one of the girls came up and asked me, she was like, are you gonna like shave for your boyfriend? And I was like, what?
Damn.
But I'm just like, one, already like mortified. I'm like, okay, I'm never changing in the changing room again. I'm going to the bathroom stall. But like,
Don't look at my coochie, you
but,
sicko.
I know, right?
For real, that's weird on her part.
But like,
Yeah.
I just felt so uncomfortable, and I'm like, this is my own body, like, and I am also 17 years old. Like,
Right.
I wasn't having sex, and like, but that's when I was like, damn, like. Your pubes, you got armpit hair. I mean, it's just like, it's growing up.
Figured it out.
So, okay, because from my point of view, that would be like a really invasive question to ask. But you said like during girl talk, things get like raw and real, and you talk about that kind of stuff. Was it still across the line for her to ask that?
Oh well, I mean, I was in high school, so yeah,
Yeah,
and it was a girl that I was not like cool with, and I wasn't even like, she was just asking me like if I was gonna shave. Like I had pants on, but she was just like, are you gonna shave for him? And I'm just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
like that's like
feel like in
y'all
high
do
school-
that? Like I didn't know, and like
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh my god, I need to shave this, I need to shave this, I need to shave this, I
need to be
shave
hairless.
This, like I need to be a naked mole rat because like I'm a woman and I'm growing hair all over my body, and
Yeah.
Her phrasing, that's interesting too. Like, are you going to shave for him? Like, that implies that it's more something that is expected of a woman. Like, I think that that feels a little wrong. How do you guys feel about that? Like, do you feel like, we don't need to talk about who shaves, who doesn't, but your own body hair choices, do you feel that that's something that you get to make for yourselves, or is it like you feel this pressure to do it a certain way, and has that changed throughout your life?
I always felt the pressure to do it.
Yeah?
Like, and
Me too.
because I remember hearing my friends talk about
Damn,
like
that sucks.
they would say like boys don't like that, or boys don't like it when you're not completely shaven, and feeling like, okay, well, a boy's not gonna like me if
Because of
I have
that.
any ounce of hair on my body at all. But I mean, also once you get comfortable with a person, it's kind of just like, do you want me to? Because like
Yeah.
if you would prefer that, I would do it. But if not, then like.
I'm not going to.
I'm just gonna let it
takes a
all.
lot of time.
We're gonna get to braiding hairs pretty soon.
You can do that as like a bonding activity.
Right? Yeah. I'm like,
He's like, babe, never shave again. This is so fun.
Oh my god.
You could braid them together like a bonding. Like, look, attached at the
Like
hip,
Avatar.
literally.
It's like the tails in Avatar.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I remember watching that movie with my family, like the blue people, and like when they put their tails together, I was like, damn, they're fucking. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, can I look?
I literally was like, something's happening there.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry.
Not again.
That was a good one. Oh, look, that's funny.
Oh damn.
That really sucks. So you feel, what about you? Did you feel a pressure, like,
I remember
and you're talking about in high
wanting,
school, you felt
like,
Yeah.
Like I found my I'm talking about a singular pube. Like one hair. Whenever I was like maybe like 11 and being like, oh, damn. Like what's next?
You take your razor and you look at it and you're like,
Am I gonna wake up with tits? Like literally is happening. Like, oh my God. And so just like I remember like I was in the bathroom, I was at my aunt's house. She has a swimming pool, so we'd go there every summer and just like swim. And I remember coming out of the bathroom like I'm not gonna tell anybody, but like internally I'm like, I just found a pube. I'm a grown ass woman. Like, you guys are not ready for what's about to happen. Like these titties are about to be out, and then that just like never happened. But I do remember like a couple years later, like at that point in my life, like 10 and 11, my family described me as like a little prepubescent boy. Like I was chunky as hell, and I was not cute. I was just like a little kind of like chubby little girl that wore like basketball shorts.
oh,
And
same.
yeah, my sister
Yeah.
would kind of make fun of me, and I would remember I'd be like, Kylan, that's my sister's name. Do you think I'm fat? She was like, no, you're not fat. And she's always been like super skinny and cute. It was just a couple of years later, like I hit a growth spurt, and I remember that's whenever I remember being like, oh shit.
This is what,
Like this is what's happening, and I had a little bit of a butt, and I was like, wow. I was like, I do look like a girl. Like, okay, I'm gonna start like washing my hair. But like, as for shaving, like I think I always like wanted to shave for some reason. Like it's something that I enjoyed doing, and but I do remember hearing like little weird things. Like my cousin was dating this boy, and she was a little bit older than me. And I remember she had said she would shave her legs every single day because one time in the hallways she overheard her boyfriend, like before they were together, a junior high relationship, had said that he would break up with a girl if she ever had hairy legs. And she had heard that, and he didn't even say it to her. I bet he didn't even like think twice about it. But like from that day on, she said she shaved every single day.
I wonder if she's still like. I wonder if that experience still like is in the back of her mind.
Yeah, it's like those little weird things that
Yeah.
like you hear that actually mean nothing, and that person doesn't even remember
Yeah,
saying.
I know.
Stick
Okay,
with
in the
you.
5th grade, I had, whenever at the end of the day, I would go to the line to get on my bus, and there would be this guy, because we had to be in a certain order, and he would sit on the right of me, and I had like a short sleeve shirt on, and he was like, your arm is really hairy. So the next day, I shaved only my right arm. Only my right arm. And I sat down and I like pulled up my sleeve and I was like, look at this shit. Like, you didn't tell me I have a hairy arm. But then like it became really itchy because I didn't do it right. And I didn't use shaving cream.
Oh,
yeah.
just no water.
Well, no, I use water, but I told my
I
mom.
plucked each individual hair.
Yeah, well, sometimes a dry shave that will make your arm so bad.
I told my mom though the next day, I was like, Mom, my arm's really itching. And she's looking, she's like, did you shave this arm? And she was like, let me see your other arm. And I showed her and she was like, what the fuck? Why did you only shave one arm? And then I had to tell her the whole story. And she was like, never shave if you don't want to shave. And she was like, also,
yeah.
That's
you're in
awesome.
the 5th grade. You shouldn't be shaving at all. So like, she would like take her razors out every time because like, I was one to use that shit, you know? And
She grounded you from shaving.
Right.
That's great.
but yeah, I literally the next day I was like, look at this fucking right arm, bitch.
Just your right arm.
Did he
So
like? What did he say? Was he just like?
I just
what?
remember like putting it, like placing it specifically so he could see it, and I don't remember if he said anything. I
probably
only
didn't
ever
say
remember
anything.
him saying, your arm is hairy, and he didn't say arms, he said arm. So I'm like, okay,
It's this
Well,
one.
your face is ugly.
I'll take care of that. Yeah, I should have.
Can't change that, can you?
Well, good for your mom for saying like, listen, we don't need to be shaving for these boys. Like, don't be
Yeah.
shaving if you don't want to. I love that.
Yep.
Because I think like as a guy, especially in like middle school and high school, because like it's brutal for everybody in different ways. But in that way, that would be really tough. Like I I just don't have any. I mean, I'm sure I do, but can't think of like a parallel experience where there was like something to do with my body where it was like, ew, like if you don't like manicure this properly. I mean, I guess like cutting your fingernails and stuff like that, like basic stuff, but there's no like guy specific thing. Like I think like, you know, guys shaving their pubes isn't as much of like a taboo thing. It's I mean like it's talked about sometimes, like, you know,
Right.
hey, what you rocking with? It's like,
Well,
you know,
and too, I feel like for guys,
come check it out, see how it feels on your lips.
especially if you're.
That's what me and the homies roll. Honestly though, like if my homie's on a dry spell and like I don't top him off, am I a good homie?
So, anyways,
Next.
I feel like though for guys, like if you have hair, it makes you more manly and like empowered. But for girls, it's like gross if you have hair. Like that's how I thought of it back then. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, who gives
who
a fuck
cares?
with what you do with your body?
My legs are
But
hairy now, so.
but it's so like men can do the same thing women can do, and it's looked at completely different. So.
That's true. That makes me think of like, what about women in positions of leadership and power?
You're
Like-
a bitch if you're a good leader, but
Yeah.
if you're a good leader as a man, you're looked at as this like, wow, he's such a
Right.
good leader.
Yeah.
He tells people what to do, when to do it. But if you're a girl and you do it, you're a bitch. And it's
Or if
like,
you're like too empathetic, you're too soft. Or there's just so many like different parallels to that. There's like this one side where you can be a hard ass or you can be too soft. And you're like, there's no in between for anyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you feel like it's almost a no-win scenario? Like you're kind of set up to fail if you're put in a position of leadership as a woman?
I mean, not if you don't give a fuck.
I think
Like
it
if
depends
you,
on the culture of like the
Yeah.
company for sure. Like I had my CEO, she was a woman and she was bomb. Like it was just rocking with all of it. And so I really enjoyed her at my last place of work. And I wanted to be her. Like she was my role model.
nice.
Like I looked up to her a lot. So she was both. She was like super, you know, this is how we're going to do it. But she was also like, okay, well, like I want you to have a family. I want you to have like this much PTO. I want you to go, you know, work-life balance is super important. So I don't know. I feel like she did it really well. It was
Do you think
super
having
respected.
someone in a leadership position that was a woman was important for your view of like, oh yeah, like women do this shit too. It's not just like men that get the leadership positions. Like you said you wanted to be her and gave you something to look up to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's super important to see like women in those types of roles all the time, whether it's, you know, first woman president, first woman CEO, first woman to do whatever, you know, it's important to see those, especially for little girls. Like now I'm like, okay, I know it can happen just because I've seen like a few people do it. But now like for children, they're like, oh, I want to be like that girl on TV, or I want to be like, you know, this woman or whatever. You know, I think it's super important.
Yeah, because when you're a little kid, like in kindergarten or whatever, and like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I wonder, like, because I know a lot of, you know, kids in my class was like, I want to be the president. I want to be an NFL player. I want to be, you know, a millionaire, whatever. And I remember a lot of the girls, you know, no knock on them. They're like, I want to be a ballerina, or like, I want to be an actress. Like, not a lot of them were saying like positions of like authority and power.
Yeah.
Not that you can't be authoritative and powerful as a ballerina, but it's just like a different kind of thing. Like, I wonder if that was simply what they saw the women that they were being shown doing. So, Paige, you're in a position of authority. You're a leader
you are.
in your workplace. You're the boss. What is it? Have you ever had any experiences as a leader that you think would be different if you were a man? Or just, you know what? Tell us about your experience in leadership as a woman.
I have only ever worked for women.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah.
yours. I guess like
Yeah.
yours is your boss is a
All of my like multiple women or, you know, leadership positions, I've always reported like directly to women. So I've been really fortunate to have just like excellent examples of very just like passionate, creative, strong, cool women who have been like really excellent mentors. And so whenever I do hear like people kind of like, and I've experienced it where people that I know or kind of am acquaintances with who have kind of, it was around like the election where it was Hillary against Trump. And I remember being at like a friend's house and her like husband making the comment of, oh, women just are not good leaders. And I was like,
the audacity.
I was like, ha. So, what makes you think that? Because you have 2 daughters here,
Right.
You know? So
Yeah,
you're
what do you
going
want
to
for
like, you're gonna like, but you know, I would try like, in that moment I was very flustered and just like, wow, like you really think that? Like, why? And I could not believe it because I remember hearing that when I was young. A similar statement to that when I was like in elementary school.
Well, real quick, what did his wife think about when he said that? Like, was she there?
She was there. She's one of my really good friends. And there's a lot of just like, I think highly of her in a lot of ways. She's not very considerate whenever it comes to like sexist statements or that type of thing. That's just like not something she pays a lot of attention to.
She doesn't take it personally.
Which is why this is her husband. That type of thing just did not bother her.
Right.
But do you think if pressed, would she agree with that?
I think that she would probably repeat kind of what she's heard. So I would say she wouldn't disagree. I would say she would maybe just agree because she hasn't really thought much about it and it doesn't bug her. For me, I almost like got up and left.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I know you. I could have seen you like start some shit.
And I remember we all ended up having like a really good, like interesting conversation that evening because there was a couple of other like people there. And so I tried to stay like open and curious, and I doubt I did a very good job at that. But,
I bet you did good.
Man, I just remember like feeling my face get really hot. My face gets hot now just thinking about it. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, wow, I just can't believe like in this like environment and just being able to like get online and be able to see like the type of roles and positions that like women currently are in. And how hard everybody's fighting to like, make sure that we continue to advance in those areas. I'm very much exposed to like people who are open to that and aware of those things and support women in leadership roles. And so every once in a while, like finding out some people just aren't there is shocking. But I think women are fucking amazing leaders. I think men are amazing leaders. And I think,
they can be both.
I don't see why... I don't agree with the stereotype of one's better than the other. I think it is definitely based on the individual. I think there's a lot of like male leaders who aren't great. There's a lot of female leaders who aren't great. And it just really depends on the person and how thoughtful they are and how much they give a shit about the people that they lead.
Do you think it also comes down to the people that they are leading? If there's somebody that they're leading that has maybe a negative viewpoint on female leaders or a negative viewpoint on male leaders. Like you said, you've never had to report to a male leader. Now, if you suddenly were in a position where your direct superior was male, having reported to so many female leaders, do you think that there would be a little bit of animosity? Maybe you'd feel incredulous, or the other way around, like maybe some of your employees don't believe that women can lead. How do you combat those types of stereotypes and ways of thinking?
Well, in a way, I work with a lot of men who are in leadership roles. I don't report directly to them, but I work in a field where a lot of men are in like powerful positions. And again, it's so based on the individual. I would say some are excellent leaders, some aren't great leaders, and it's just based on their personality and the way they handle certain situations, the way they view themselves, and how they treat other people.
Paige for president.
I know. She knows her shit. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that the criteria for being a good leader is the same for men and women, or because of differences in maybe personality, stereotype, society, there's a different type of measuring stick and different qualities are expected?
I don't know. I feel like it should be the same. Should just be based on your experience. But also, I don't know. That's a hard one. Because if like a male is going to be a super great teacher, like a super good daycare operations person, then like that would be great. Or like if a woman was an amazing mechanic, I'm basing off of like opposite.
Yeah. Like just
roles,
stereotypes.
Like, yeah. And so I don't know. That's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer because there's so many different types of situations. Like Paige said, it all comes down to the individual and their experience and like how they care for other humans.
Because I would think if I'm looking at it just from a societal point of view, I would think that if a man wants to be seen as like a good, well-rounded leader, they probably have to do a little more work to show empathy and to show like support and encouragement, because it's probably like a male authority figure is often seen as like authoritarian and maybe a little bit of a jerk. So if they want to be like a great leader, they might have to invest more effort into proving to those around them that, hey, I do have empathy and support and encouragement. Maybe it's the opposite for a female leader, where maybe a female society stereotype wise is seen as more of a nurturer and a teammate rather than a leader. Maybe they have to step up and like crack the whip a few times to show that they need to be taken just as seriously. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that could come into play, or am I reading too much into that?
I think it can definitely come into play in certain arenas, especially if you think about women in like mid-level leadership positions. I think that's a lot more accepted and easier to get into.
Okay.
Easier to be accepted at. I think as you look at the like tiered structure, as you go into like higher leadership, like CEOs, the trust,
VPs,
you know, the VPs, it's much more male dominated. And
Yeah,
whenever
for
a
sure.
female's in that position, there's usually one.
Yeah.
And they are under a different level of scrutiny.
Yeah. I was going to say, especially because me and Paige work at the same place, I feel like it's starting to level out, but it's not at the same time, where it's like there's a few female leaders that are bomb. Like they are like, I mean, the greatest, but then there's also like very male dominant too, where it's like the good old boys club where they're just, it's,
And when you
it's gonna
look
stay
at
the
it,
same.
like the women stick out because
Oh,
they're
for
just
sure.
like on another level.
Yes, yeah.
And so in a way that
On
could
another level in
indicate
terms of like how good they are at their jobs?
how good they are at their jobs,
Like
how
forward thinking they are, how advanced thinking, just bringing our place up to the 21st, whatever century that we're in.
So do you think that they had to, in order to attain that advancement, did they have to show like above and beyond qualifications? Do you think
yeah.
like it was a
Yes.
different standard than a man?
For
from
sure.
what
Interesting.
I see is where we work, yes. I think the
And you,
females
for
who are in
clarification, you guys work in the medical field.
Yeah.
So
the females in the same positions, probably getting a little bit less pay, are 20 times better because they've had to work that much harder to be accepted and in that position.
interesting.
Yeah.
So as much progress as we've made as a society, still a lot more to come as far as actual results.
I mean, I feel like that's with anything though.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. I think we've come
All
a long
about
way and we have a
progression.
long way to go.
progression.
Okay.
For sure. And on the other, so I have another example
Yeah, I wanna
of
hear
a
it.
female in a like leadership position who maybe, you know, doesn't handle themselves as gracefully as some of the examples we just provided, who kind of, I've talked to a lot about like her battle in like certain arenas as she's a surgeon. And she can have a really like hard time interacting with other people because she always feels like she's fighting a battle.
Ooh. So she
Yeah.
always feels like she's got something to prove, and so that comes off with a certain edge.
It does. And I think the approach that she takes, I understand why she has that approach.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially with
Yeah, but I don't think
that
it's
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily working in her favor for what
Yeah.
she's attempting to achieve, which is equality.
Okay. So there is a certain point where it goes too far.
There's a certain point where it's almost like, and now it's like me against everyone else.
Yeah.
And so then everybody's like, oh, like I don't want to be around you, much less like volunteer to help you get to where you want to be because, you know, in this example, like this person just kind of reacts in anger to be able to get what they want and get the things that they think they're not getting because, you know, because she's a woman.
Yeah.
And so like I can understand why she feels that way and why she reacts that way, but I can also see from my perspective, you know, why it's not working.
So that kind of goes back to my example earlier of maybe she feels because she's under all this scrutiny that she's got to like crack the whip more often to be taken seriously. It's like she feels if she takes a softer approach,
It's like
maybe she won't be as
almost.
And I feel like
Yes.
that's you could like an example is, you know, like with my parents, I'm way more scared of my dad than my mom. So I would pop off way more to my mom and see what I could get away with, but I would never talk that way to my dad
interesting.
just because I know one, he would like spank my ass hard, but my mom would still like pop me in the mouth and stuff. But like even in work, like if you have a boy manager and a girl manager, I've seen it whenever I worked in the food industry that like if the woman was getting onto a a guy about like something so plain, like something not even that big of a deal, you would talk back to the woman who's the manager. But if the male manager were to say it, you would just do it and you don't say anything at all. And it's like,
I could see that because I worked in the food industry too, and my manager was a female.
Yeah, we had two. One was a male and one was a female, and it was like I would see more people like trying to like go at it with not go at it, but like say, okay, you need to bust that table. Why do I have to do it? You know, but like the male manager would be like, go bust that table, and it's like, I Captain, you know, like you don't think twice about it. And I feel that way even in, it might sound bad, but in my household, like if my mom was getting on my nerves or we were fighting, like I would say something mean to her. But if my dad and I were arguing, like I was just like, okay, yes, whatever you want. Please don't ground me. Please don't spank me. Like, you know, and with my mom, I never like begged her not to hit me or anything like that. So
that's really interesting. So it's like even women in leadership positions, once they're there, maybe they don't even get the respect that they should that comes with the position. Whew.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We've talked a little about women in leadership and a little more about serious stuff. I do want to, let's break up some of the tension with a funnier guy versus girl question
Are you
here.
feeling threatened, Cody? Is that why?
I'm feeling
beat your ass.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
What do you
emasculated
think
and I
about
might
hairy
cry.
legs? That's
What
we
do I
wanna
think
know.
about hairy legs? I think like I have dry skin and eczema, so if that like if I can scratch myself on my girl, like that's an added bonus. Like say I got a little eczema on my arm, Paige got hairy legs, I'm like if she's got that cheese grater type situation where the hairs are really short, like I love that. I'm all for it.
Mine's that way, but
especially-
it doesn't feel cheese gratery. I'm like,
Are you bragging?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I have been using cocoa butter. So
Nice.
Dude,
My
wait,
skin's dry.
one thing though about body hair, when you're talking about my mom saying like, you don't have to shave. Well, one time at a basketball game when I was like in the 7th grade, I didn't shave my armpits and like, I didn't like think anything of it. Cause I'm just out there balling out,
Right.
not giving a fuck
Triple
about my
double.
armpits. Well, we sit in the car and she takes down like the not rear mirror, like the mirror that you, block the
like
sun.
yeah, I know.
She
Visor.
flips it down,
Advisor.
flips the mirror over and goes, lift up your arm. And I was like, okay. And she goes, look at your armpit. And I was like, damn, that shit is long. But like, I didn't even look at it. She's like, I watched you play basketball all day and you have hairy armpits. You gotta shave them. And I was just like, okay.
It's like troll hair length.
But yeah, like I hadn't really gotten into a habit of shaving my armpits.
Right.
And that was one thing my mom was like, you gotta shave your armpits.
Yeah.
Because like, I think another mom had been like, has Blake shaved her armpits today?
Oh,
And my
Yeah, so
mom-
it's all about like
This is
the
mom
Yes!
shame.
The feedback
But and it
from
was
others.
also a
The
mom that
shame.
we were really close with because I
Oh.
was really good friends with her daughter and
anymore.
still am. Well, yeah, right. But like, yeah, she went up to my mom and she shaved her armpits and she was like, let me see. And then watched me ball out and turns out I had gorilla armpits and like, but it was so funny. She like flipped it down, slid the mirror over, lift up your arm. Damn! Like, I didn't know.
Right arm looks great.
I know, right? That's what we should. She's my right
never grown
armpit
back.
is shaved, not the left.
Yeah.
You're like, Mom, you know how I do. Like,
You told me I didn't have to.
oh, that's really
superstition
funny.
thing.
It sounds like it comes, and I'm sure there's a lot of things with like guys as well, like that societal pressure. Like in a vacuum, you and your mom might not have cared, but like because other people were like, "What the fuck is going on with those armpits?"
Yeah.
There's definitely stuff like that I've done as a guy. Like I have a very high pitched laugh. And I remember there was a time period in like late middle school, early high school where I'd be like, hey, because I remember
a deep one. So
yeah.
I'm like,
One kid that I thought was really cool, like I was really excited to be hanging out with the cool kids, and I would laugh, and they'd be like, "Is that your laugh?" And I was like, "Damn."
how did they
Worst
not
thing to
laugh
make fun
with
of.
you? If you have a funny laugh, I'm laughing with you.
Middle schoolers,
For sure.
man, they
Dude,
have
it was-
no.
well, I don't-
They're
I'm not
brutal.
sure. I'm not sure. I just remember like they were like for the you know
They're
it
just
only lasts a
hateful.
couple days. They're like, and I'm like, it's me.
All right.
You know?
They're just picking on
And I was like, damn. So I was like, yeah, like,
Shut the fuck
up.
Shit,
do be
funny, motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was very cognizant for like a long time about like if I'd start laughing like, yeah.
I don't like that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's rude.
You would have kicked their ass,
I
wouldn't you?
would beat their asses.
Yeah.
Come here.
We've talked about like, first period, when you feel like you're a woman, things like that. I do remember like when I found my first pube, because there's not like there's not like a man version of a period.
You're 6 or something. Like
No,
6 years old.
Oh man, because I was a late bloomer. I think I was,
Cheers.
well, I guess like 12. So I guess that's not that late, but I had a single pube and I was so proud of it. I showed my parents.
What did they say when you showed it?
We had a very supportive household. They were
The
pumped.
dad cried.
They were really
dad-
Hold
excited.
on, where was
My-
it?
It
was
was
it like under the balls? Because that's very like invasive. Like I just imagine you like lifting
He
like
like
a big
bends over and like pulls his
It was
balls
my
out.
first pube was actually in my asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
Spreads the cheeks.
Can you see it? No,
my
it was like on my right inner hip. It was like I could pull my underwear down where they weren't seeing like cock and balls, but they could see the
okay.
little like
that's cool.
little
Okay.
pube. No, I showed them the whole thing. Like I could have shown it without showing cock and balls, but I went cock and balls first, and I pulled from the bottom, showed them everything. But
Showed him what you're working with.
yeah, my dad's
As
like,
a 12-year-old.
Oh, must have skipped a generation. Doesn't have that Troutman girth on him, but And so anyway, I had this one pube, and I had a really bad like hernia in my hip, at whatever muscle.
Yeah,
it's like
over there.
It's like no, it was like down into my crotch area. I just remember I was like in so much pain for a long time. Long story short, I had a really bad hernia and it required like immediate surgery. Yeah. So we got in there. I remember when we finally went to the emergency room, they're like, "Oh gosh, this is bad." We were watching Ghostbusters as a family. And I was writhing on the ground in pain, and my sister was like, "Oh my God, Cody's ruining the movie. Like, can you like? It's not about you." And I remember I was like, and my mom's like, "That's it. This has been going on for days. We're going to the doctor." And so we had because I had been really short. We had an appointment the next week, so we just went to the doctor that night. They're like, "Damn, this is really bad." Long story short, I had this bad hernia. They had to do surgery and cut me open on my hip and stuff. And a surgery site, they're supposed to shave it and get it like very clean. And so I remember once I found that out, I was like, "Damn, I'm gonna lose that pube."
Oh my
like
God.
because I only had the one, and I was like, "Fuck!" And I remember
As if it wouldn't grow back.
I had this one pube for like months, and I hadn't gotten any others, and it wasn't growing longer. And so I was like, "This might be it." Like if I I didn't even want to pull too hard. Like I washed it gently. Like I was really like
Really took care of that
protective.
pube.
Yeah, I was like, "It's okay." Little
like-
pubey.
So did they shave it?
Well, I told the doctor. I was like,
No, you
shut up.
fucking
Yes, I
didn't.
did.
Oh my.
I was like, I
Cody,
got one
no!
pube. I was like, "Are they gonna shave it? Because like, I only have one." And the doctor's like, "I'll see what I can do." And I was like, "Whatever." So then I wake up and I remember like I was like out of it and high, but the first thing I did was check, and he had gone around it. Like he had changed it and he saved it. And by the time I was lucid, he was like, "Hey, I and I was like, "My dog."
I
Like,
can only
fist bumping
imagine the shit talking that was happening in that OR.
In that OR, they're like, "Save the pube." The nurses are like, "What pube?"
Well, yeah, exactly. They're like, I didn't even see anything on
They're like,
there.
"All I see is this big ass dick."
Again, I have to go home.
And but no, the doctor saved my pube, and my family still tells that story. They're like, "Do you remember when you had surgery when you were 12 and the doctor saved your pube?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still send him a Christmas card every year." Like, and I was like, "From pubey." So that's my one pube story. But looking back, that doesn't make me feel like a man. Makes me feel like a
I would hope
child.
not.
Yeah.
I would hope not.
Makes me feel like a child.
Please save my one pube, please.
Do you know if you still have it?
That pube,
That pube.
it's the only one I have. So
It's in a jar.
It didn't grow back. I didn't grow more. I just have that one.
It's in a jar, like how tonsils you can keep them afterwards.
Yeah,
It's in a
exactly.
jar,
I
like
kept
a
my
specimen
wisdom
jar.
teeth.
Oh,
After
nice.
I got them removed, I kept them.
Interesting.
I don't know where they went.
Yeah, I guess I have my baby teeth that were removed, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I want to know. Like we talked a little about guys and girls separately. What about let's mix it together? I think that things that are found attractive in the opposite sex, there's some stereotypes around that. I would say the stereotype for guys is like all guys care about is looks, like ooh boobies, And for girls,
Not goofy. Not goofy.
But the stereotype for girls is like they're attracted to very like odd or obscure things. There's no like, you know, staple of attractiveness. And so I want to know, as a girl, what are some obscure or odd things that you're attracted to? Maybe you guys don't even think they're weird, but they're maybe not super conventional. Like, oh, you know, because I'm trying to like, there's no version of like, you know, like, I mean, I guess certain, like you can say like, oh, a guy has a cute butt, but like, I think the stereotype for guys is like, oh, like if she got titties and ass, like let's go, you know. But what are you attracted to? Like Marissa, I know you were talking about one earlier.
Yeah, about the veins.
You like veins?
Yeah, well, I mean that's not like a end all be all, but I just think like they're. I don't think that they have to be like have veins to be like my type. I don't know. I like veins. I think they're cool. I don't know. It's weird.
So they're like so you just want a guy to have a lot of veins because like, oh, like he has good circulation, he'll have a good life expectancy.
His life expectancy is long.
He's very healthy.
Yeah.
So you're just like a health guru.
I know. But yes, I guess. I don't know. I
Do you
just
like
like them.
veins?
It's weird. It's one of those weird things like you said.
Do you have a type?
No. That's why I don't have a boyfriend.
I
I just
ain't
can't
got no
figure it out yet.
I
I ain't got no type.
in college, I found myself always attracted to like if we'd go to the parties, I'd be like, oh, the drug dealer here is so hot. Like, and I never even did drugs or anything. I would just be so attracted because like everybody wanted to be about, you know, the drug guy and like be around him. And I'm just like, I want to like hang out with him, but like, you know, not get committed. But
Right.
I don't know what it was. If you were like
Just to be, like,
dealing
the bad-
drugs,
the bad
I was
boy's
like
good
totally.
girl.
Yeah, I think so.
To be the bad boy's good girl.
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
the staple.
That's
You know
probably what
I mean?
it was
Interesting.
because I never did drugs. Definitely never like sold them. So
I can imagine you'd be
But-
like, it could be super, it could be super.
okay, whenever I worked at Pops and I was a server there, and there was this guy, he was a busboy, okay, and his name was Michael. Michael had a face tat.
Oh.
And he was tatted up on his arms.
Nice.
And to me, he was so fine. I loved Michael. And like, I was the only one at work that would like talk with him and like try and like also be his friend because like everybody was scared of him. And but he was one, he lived in Spencer, Star Spencer, and he was into like ghetto cowboy shit that like a lot of people from Star Spencer do. And one of my best friends from Star Spencer, and she's like, you gotta be careful, those ghetto cowboys will come out and get you. And so he was one that so like I never gave him my number, but we would message on Facebook Messenger because I was scared to give him my number.
I would be too.
So we would talk on Facebook Messenger, and he's like, hey, I want to take you out like on a ride sometime. And I'm like, on a fucking horse? Like, you have a face tattoo and you want to take me out on your horse? But
Is that what he
like,
meant?
yeah, that's what he meant. Like, he lived in like on a little farm and had horses, but he was pretty ghetto. And so this little, nothing ever happened. We never hung out because I was like too scared. And but like we would kind of like little bit of flirting at work, but he was also very shy, which I was like very into because I'm like, this dude is hard and he is shy, and I love that. He would message me continuing on Facebook, and I stopped responding. I mean, I responded for a bit, but I stopped responding. He would like every year send me happy birthday on my birthday.
Wow.
He was like very
A drug
much
dealer with feelings.
Yes, and he would like randomly. I'd late at night. I would get a message, and it would say from Michael, and I'm like, "What's this motherfucker about to say?" And it would be like, it would just say, "Blake, hard eye," and I was just like, "Oh, Michael, like, thanks." But it would be like at 2 a.m, and so I'm still friends with him on Facebook. When I started dating Grant, this man would still message me. Damn. And he and I think sometimes I would respond just because I was scared again, like I didn't want him to get too mad at me and like come find me. But when I started dating Grant, he kind of just he stopped. Well, I noticed I hadn't heard from him in like 2 years. I go and like look up his Facebook. This man is in prison.
Oh no.
And he has a phone in prison, and he is like not documenting, but he would like get on Facebook and make like a status, which I say it's him doing it. It could be like a family member posting for him. but it's pictures of him and like his prison gear and like posting up and like taking pictures, and it's like hashtag free Mikey.
Oh,
I'm like, hell yeah, free my boy Mikey. Get my boy
Mikey.
get my boy out of there. But like,
what's he in for?
I don't know. And I tried looking him up on
the
Oklahoma website, but I think he was arrested in a different state because I can't ever find anything about him.
My man was like intrastate drug dealing.
I know, and I almost want to just message him and be like, Mikey, you good, shawty? Like, want to make sure everything's good out there. And
he's like, I'd be better if you visited.
Right, I know. You know, they have these things. I was like really deep in on TikTok like not too long ago. There's an app that you can message inmates and you can like send them money, but you can send each other voice messages. You can send each other pictures. You can
be their pen pal.
Yeah, you can be their pen pal. You can, but what they really want is money for their commissary.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I should tell Mikey to get that shit, and we can talk, and I'll be his pen pal. And but I downloaded the app whenever, and I wasn't even thinking of Mikey at the time. But
You were thinking of all the other hot drug
I'm
dealers.
like looking at all these
That's
other
our type right there.
prisoners, but Grant and I were looking at it together, and there was one, and he
that's
was like,
kinky.
Yeah.
he was like,
Prison guard just because it's your type.
yeah. He had like introduced himself, and he was like covered in tats, and he goes, I'm a bisexual tattoo artist. I'm looking for just like a cool person to talk to help pass the time. And Grant was like, that's the one. So I like looked up all of his info. I had a message sent out, and then it was like asking me to put my credit card in, and I was in my bedroom. My credit card is in the other room. I was
So
like,
you just
sorry, bud, you're not getting anything from me tonight.
Oh,
but
damn.
I should look up Mikey and see if he has something on that, because
I love that. Facebook Messenger will get you. I get singing happy birthdays from this one guy.
What?
Yes,
Singing
I can literally
voice?
pull it up. Let me see.
Yeah, pull it
On
up.
Facebook.
While you're pulling that up, Blake, imagine like the guys on the prison app, like these girls are sending them nudes. They're like, bitch, put your titties away. I need money.
I know. Yeah, we don't see your titties anymore.
Oh, is this it?
Yeah.
What if it's me?
I would die laughing. I'd be like,
Do you know him?
doing that just be outrageous.
Here it is.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
gosh.
you.
That's so cringy.
Oh, happy birthday, dear Marisa. Happy birthday to you.
Whoa.
Happy birthday, Marisa.
The first one's even creepier. So this was 2019.
Is this like a guy
Is this
you...
just his
Let me
voice?
fast
Is that a
forward
guy
to the
you
end.
know? Or like, is it...
No,
do you
I
guys
think
have
it
a
was,
relationship
I
of
think
some
it was
type?
kind of like one of those things where
Was it a joke?
I don't know because
He
it
is
is every
actually
year.
singing.
So
He's
this is,
not, like,
no,
fucking
like
around.
this is the one from the year
He even
before.
hit the, like, the-
Listen to the end.
Getting the falsetto.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Marisa.
Which is like okay, it's like super nice, but
I'm trying to figure out if it's
I
a
don't
joke
think
or
I've
not.
ever. No, he literally sent me a video too.
Is it
Well,
a video of him singing? Like his face? Or is it just the recording
Let me
of his
see.
voice?
Marisa, I just wanted to send you.
No, this one wasn't singing, but yeah. So it's
That's
just
weird.
a voice message, and I don't think it was kind of one of those things in Edmond where everyone in Edmond adds each other just
Yeah.
because you know someone that knows them, and so it's like
People you may know. Yeah.
Yeah.
right. But I knew someone that knew him pretty closely, so I was like, oh, okay, like.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or I had met him at like a church thing or like something, but I don't remember ever having like a connection with him. But it's just so funny because
Have you ever met him in person?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Interesting.
I'm not going to expose his name, but
Yeah,
that
don't-
probably
yeah,
right
don't-
there probably exposed him because I'm wondering how many other people he did it
Yeah.
to. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you for the like the. I didn't
We
even
get thousands of messages.
yeah. I'm like, thank you for the gesture, but like, yeah.
He's like, next year I could do it naked if you want that.
Yeah, no, we did it 2 years singing in a row, and then sent me just like a Facebook like video, happy birthday.
Oh yeah.
So I think he was. over
He's
the
getting
singing.
lazy a little
Yeah,
bit.
I just hate the end. Happy birthday, Marisa. I was
Putting
like,
in the real effort.
Happy
you know?
birthday, Marisa.
It's like
literally, it was like that.
He's filming like 8
Yeah.
a day. He's like, the return on these is
Yes.
He's like, I'm getting no
Like-
pussy from this. Like, this is
Working.
crazy.
Literally, I was just like,
he runs like one of those incel communities on Reddit. He's like, these bitches don't appreciate a nice gesture.
I know. I'm like,
all they want is drug dealers.
In a face
drug
tag.
dealers. Yeah, no, I just was like, that was so unwarranted. I'm like, you could have just written "Happy Birthday" on my wall. I would have been okay with that.
That's odd.
But it wasn't even someone that I was like, oh, you're so cute. You know what I mean? And
If he was hot, it would've been
It wasn't
fine.
like
If it
Blake,
was-
heart eye. It
No,
was
it was
a
like,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I was like,
You're
blocked. You're blocked. Like, you know what I mean?
And then you unblock him on your birthday to get that validation.
Right, yeah, for sure.
I'm,
No, that's
I'm just
funny.
trying to. If it's satirical, it's really funny.
I hope it is.
Like if it's satire, that's really
That's
funny.
all the message. All our messages are is his message singing, his message singing the next year, and then his video message.
Wow.
So I didn't
That's
even
awesome.
reply. I didn't even heart the message.
What do you say to that? Like,
I don't know. Like I
You
want to
have
say
a-
LOL thanks.
You have a beautiful falsetto.
right. Yeah. Like I don't know. I was just like, okay.
Wow, that's great.
So that's not my type right there. That's one thing that I don't like.
You're looking for like that's more of an alto. You're looking for more of a bass. Like
yeah.
if he was like, Happy birthday.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of Elvis, you know, a little swang. To the
Ain't
voice.
nothing but a birthday girl. Ain't nothing but a birthday girl.
Sure, we'll roll with that.
So well, I'm gonna assume he's trying to like holla at you. That brings me to
Yeah, maybe.
like different ways guys and girls hit on each other. I've always thought that was hilarious. Like hearing and talking to different female friends or my sister and stuff like that about ways that girls hit on guys versus ways that guys hit on girls is so funny to me. And so I want to know, like, so I guess mine are a little weirder. Like I use humor, like the way we met. I don't think is a great example because it's so like. Have you ever heard the story of how we met? So I'll just. I want to go in depth.
Oh,
we'll go
dang.
in depth another time. I'll just like breeze through it.
Okay.
Basically, we met on a street corner. We were on opposite street corners, and I'm with some friends, and they know that like if something like weird needs to go down, like I'm the one. So they're
Right.
like, "Hey, what, Cody, look over there!" And I look across the street on the other corner. I see a girl dancing and flipping us off very aggressively,
And it's you.
and it's Paige.
that would be me.
Honestly,
that is how I flirt.
it sounds like a movie, like a match made in heaven.
We have a video of it. We'll show it to you after.
yeah.
the,
Shut up.
It's
I love
hilarious.
this.
It's out of
Yeah,
control.
that's
And
amazing.
so we just started flipping each other off, and that's my like ace in the hole move. But I would say that like the stereotype for guys is like you got to be like forward, whatever, but then like not too forward, not weird. So there's a little bit of confusion there. But I would say guys are more expected to be forward and up front. But the way girls flirt, I've always found hilarious. So you say you flirt by flipping out, like in general. Do you mean like? Do you flirt as in like you tease, or how do you do it?
I would say I'm just like abrasive and condescending.
Yes, it's
And-
like a teasing humor, like
Yeah.
teasing dark humor.
and it doesn't work, but like I have
same.
a great time.
Same.
And then afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, he knows I'm feeling it, and then it's like, no, he doesn't. He thinks you hate him.
Yeah,
Yeah, you ask your friend, like, what did he think? He thought you were being super rude for no reason and felt really excluded. So it's like, oh, okay.
Oh my god.
I know my sister told me one time, she's like, if I make eye contact with a guy and I hold for 1 second and he doesn't understand that I'm down, that's his fault. Like, I've shot my shot. I've done all I can. Blake, what's your strat? What's your...
I don't really have one. Like I don't like if I'm interested in a guy, like won't talk to him.
Have
I
your friends
don't-
go talk to them
Or
for you.
that, or like go follow him on Instagram later or something. Like I don't. That's how with with Grant. It was we hung out once, and then I didn't see him again for like a couple months, and then I found his Instagram. I followed him. I messaged him.
Ooh, hell yeah. So, like, you're a little more comfortable being up front, like, in the DMs.
Oh, for sure. Like I
Gotcha.
would. I mean, well, I didn't really. I don't know. I wasn't like messaging just anybody. Like I knew I had liked Grant, but like if it was somebody that I was just like, it's whatever. But I'll follow him and like some of his stuff when he
Yeah.
posted it, or slide up on a story.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm very,
I think that's a
Setting up
good
in your
subtle
story
way.
and like saying
That's
something
such a
is
good
just,
way to
like,
do it,
It's very
yeah.
subtle. It's a subtle way to flirt.
Making
Yes.
like a
I am
interesting comment on something.
Yeah.
I've definitely done that before, so I
I'm
know
very
exactly what you're
behind the
talking about.
screen flirter, not like to your face. Like I'm what's wrong with the world.
Oh
that-
yeah.
You know, so I think it also for me, if it happens naturally, like in conversation, that's very attractive to me. So I'll be more like into the conversation. But like if I'm not feeling it with a person and it's just not happening, like I'm not gonna continue to like talk.
No.
anymore.
So what about
Yeah.
it? So like if you, whether it's digital or IRL, if you are attracted to somebody, are you trying to send signals so that they will pursue you, or are you going to pursue them? Like, so like the swipe ups on the story or approaching somebody in person, are you posting a story you might think is there, like that they might think is cute, hoping they'll
Oh, for
react?
thirst
sure.
trap?
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
okay.
For sure.
So you're
like a
more likely to do
mixture.
that than swipe up on theirs, maybe.
Well, I mean, I think I would do both.
both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
A little
like-
bit of both going
yeah.
on.
But if I'm like taking a cute pic, I'm like, I want so and so to see this.
Gotcha.
Like, and I'm saying this all prior to me dating Grant. I don't do
No,
that now. Like,
see-
I don't.
I'm talking about in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was one guy I remember I was really into him and he like wasn't reciprocating those feelings. So I was just like, when are you gonna like take me on a date, or when are you ever gonna like try and kiss me on the mouth?
Yeah, like-
And I was just very like forward because if he
Yeah.
wasn't gonna be forward, then I was like, okay, bye. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna keep throwing myself out there.
Right.
So
It's like you're trying to joke, but you're like serious at the same time. You're like, okay, so like, when are we gonna date?
yeah, yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, he's like, what are you talking about? And you're like, no, like really, like I'm serious now. Like when are we gonna date?
yeah,
You're like, stop! Like we're so cute together. And he's like, what? And you're like, what? And then you're like, no, but like really, we are cute together. So, and then just
And then just
Yeah.
maintain eye contact.
yeah, or just like kind of look around like. So anyways, and then change the conversation. You know what I mean? Just
I
don't
can see
know.
you specifically having a lot of success with that, though. Like that fits your personality and your humor style.
Mine just like I feel like it depends on the type of person you're like trying to pursue.
Yeah.
So like if they're shy, then you have to be like kind of shy and like reserved. Like, but I'm not that type of person, so I'm very like
Yeah, I feel like
forward. So it's
if-
kind of hard for me to kind of like.
Do you have an example in mind of a time where you have like pursued someone
I can think of like
and
last
done something
weekend.
bold?
But not
No.
just like you saying
I almost fought
like
someone last weekend.
but saying like
That's hot.
No.
Yeah.
them
Like,
talking
'cause I
about
hate him.
Oh.
talking about wanting a
he
girlfriend
didn't
and you're like, I'm right
reciprocate.
here. Or what did you say? It was something like him talking about wanting. He was like, "Why are there no
yes,
girls
yes,
into
yes.
me?" And you were like very.
This person was like, yeah, like just no girls want a long-term relationship, and I literally was like on FaceTime. I was like, that's crazy. I literally was like, I'm right here. That's crazy. And
What
then I
did
was
they
like,
say?
so anyways,
Did you say I'm right here?
no, because they were drunk, and so I was like, what the heck?
Is it someone we know?
No, no,
dang it.
I know. With our friends, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's just like, it's
Titty milk, you know.
yeah, this is mommy's. It's like always like,
Yeah, it's very raunchy.
it is raunchy.
But like
so-
when you actually there is someone, you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like I'm right in front of your face.
Yeah, I'm literally
you're
like,
not gonna be like, put my titty in your mouth, you know. But like,
Right, I'm like maybe later, but like
yeah, but you wouldn't say that.
The
to
right
me.
one
no,
first, just the
no,
right
I
one.
wouldn't say that.
I do wonder though, like, why are you waiting on him
Ooh, good question.
For
to initiate
Yeah, ask him
a
out.
date?
That's what I told
See,
her.
that's
That's
what
what I
she said.
told her.
But then after this last week,
yeah,
I'm like,
but she shouldn't. I know. Yeah, he's
Oh, it's a
kind of.
no?
I literally almost
Something
like
bad
fought
happened,
this
yeah.
week.
But before that, I was like, you just need to ask him out because
Wait, the
if
guy
you
that
were
you
to
were
say,
Well, I
with-
kept saying like, let's hang out, let's hang out. Like we never hang out. What are you doing this weekend? Blah blah. And it just was. It wasn't like a curve, but I would be busy that one weekend. He would be busy the next, and it just would.
I told her
It
she
won't
just
work.
needed to say, let's go on a date. And then if
Yeah.
he wasn't for it, then like, bye, see you later.
Yeah.
Or just be friends with him and
It's so
know
funny
that
'cause-
it's not going anywhere. But now it's like definitely not going anywhere.
But
Just for clarification, this person that you at one time had a crush on, you almost got in a fist fight with? That's the same person?
yeah,
Can you tell us the story?
no,
No.
it wasn't anything bad that it happened between me and him. It was just like a situation that just was not correct.
Damn, and it almost came to blows.
Oh, yeah.
You were like,
I mean,
this
there
is not the
wasn't-
blows I wanted
there
us to be
wasn't-
exchanging.
No, it wasn't like us arguing. It was just like uncomfortable and like pissed me off to the point to where I could knock you out. And I just wanted him out of there type of situation. So
She wouldn't give him the boot.
I want to give him the boot, the bat, the bare knuckles. I mean
The boot, the bat, bare knuckles, yeah.
yeah, everything.
The triple B's.
The triple
B's.
I got to hear all about it though, and I was just like, damn, why that shoddy had to do that?
I know.
Yeah,
But
it
we'll
is
just stay
disappointing.
friends, and that's this.
And that's
okay.
how it'll go, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you say to Grant when you slid into his DMs?
I said,
good
okay, so
question.
we worked together at Blue Garden for one time we did, and then my first day there was his last day there. So whenever our shift was over, we all met up and went to Good Times to get a drink. Or no, it was the Flea. And I was like really digging him. And I was like, damn, like I want to be friends with him, but he's my manager. And I didn't know that.
Oh,
That's
man.
hot.
And I didn't want
So taboo.
I didn't want, I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
She's like, do you deal drugs?
I know, right? Oh no, but that night, okay, so we were at the Flea and I was really into him. And then my next shift that we're about to have, I found out that he was done working there. I was like, damn, I'm never gonna see this dude ever again. And I really didn't. I didn't see him for like over a month. And then I had found out that he just had a birthday, and I was like, oh my god, like I wish I could have been there.
I wish I could have been his
So-
birthday cake.
I know, right? Right? Yeah,
He could have had a slice
exactly.
of this cake.
Coochie board. Yeah. So,
City.
but like after I heard about his birthday, I was like, I gotta find him. So I found him on Instagram and I said, hey, remember that one time we worked together? And you just was like, yeah, that was a good time because we went to Good Times.
Oh,
we went
my
to the
man
Flea.
came with the corny joke.
And then, but he was like very forward, which I really was attracted to. He was like, hey, here's my number. We should go get a drink after you get off work.
Love
I
that.
would.
But
love
he did that,
I hate
and
at the same
then
time.
Wait, you would hate it?
I would. It's like a love hate. Like I love it, but then I get so nervous.
I was very nervous.
You know what I mean? I just want to throw up.
Yeah, and I was nervous. But then he did
I had
this
someone throw up on
thing
me.
that I think also
Yeah.
attracted me to him was that he had asked me to hang out that one time, and then I had gotten off work at like 2 a.m. because it was Blue Garden.
Yeah.
And so we didn't hang out that night. And then we would have plans to hang out the next night, and he would be like, never mind, I'm tired. And then like 3 days later, but he was the one that kept saying, never mind, we'll do it on a different day. And I was like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah, that's
like,
confusing.
is he want to hang out or does he not? And so when we finally did hang out, we like never stopped hanging out. I was just like, dude, why did you wait so long? Why did you keep like canceling? But I liked that. I was like, oh, he keeps canceling on me, but like we're still gonna talk, you know, like so
Yeah.
stupid.
Wait, what? Yeah. I
Like
don't
looking forward to
understand
the
that.
next time he says, "Hey, are you
I
free
think it's all
today?"
about like the chase, though. I
Yeah.
liked that, but then after we hung out, he was, you know, all about me. So, so yeah,
Interesting.
but I slid right in that thing.
But then once you had initiated, he took over like the pursuit. And
Yeah,
was
like right off the bat, he was just like,
Interesting.
"This is my number. Let's get a drink after you get off work." And I was like,
Nice.
So you liked the chase.
"Oh, yeah,
Daddy.
all about it."
You're like, skip the drink.
And I remember too, like the first time that we hung out, I had went over after work. She was a little bit later, and in my head, I was like, I'm not gonna stay the night, obviously, because you know I'm a great girl. I would never do that. And then I stayed the night, and then I was like, okay, well, like we won't have sex, like. You know, and then like the same day that we hung out for the first time, I was just like, damn, going against everything that I just had set for myself. And then, you know, you have to be like, I'm not this type of girl. Like, I don't usually do this.
And he's
so like,
he's
you're
like,
lucky.
oh yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
he's
see
like-
you tomorrow.
Bitch, okay, yeah. But
Oh, that's really funny because that's such a cliche line. Like, I never do this. Like, what if you really never do it? You know,
I
It's
know.
Like, nobody
Well-
ever believes you.
you never know. You never know. I remember too, I would tell him, I'm like, the first time I cried, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm like not a crier.
Oh,
The fuck?
girl is the
I am
biggest boo-hooer.
such a big crier. And like
Boo-hoo. It says boo-hoo in the dictionary. Blake Blessington. Like, literally.
huge crier at like anything. And the first
And you were
time.
making fun of me for crying during the sex talk?
Okay, but
Damn,
I didn't
that's fucked
cry
up.
during the sex
Yeah,
talk.
that's-
I would
that's
cry at, like something way more dramatic. So, but yeah,
I was like, wait, what? I gotta put it where? And it's supposed to be fun?
it'll
Ew.
feel good. But yeah,
Well, it's usually fun for the guy. Okay. I remember that's one thing you had mentioned because so after we met, like so that night it was like by the end of our meeting it wasn't just like, oh my god, you're the best. It was like we were still beefing. Like comedically,
Oh, yeah.
but we were beefing.
Yeah.
And I remember then we had found each other on Instagram, and so that was like our next like interaction. And I remember you had told me a long time later that you had liked that when I asked to hang out, it was like early on I made it clear it was a date. Like I made my intentions very clear.
Oh yeah,
We love an
absolutely.
intentional
Like like I wasn't just like, let's chill, you know?
Didn't
Yeah.
live in the DMs. You didn't like live in my texts. You were like, okay, let's hang out this date. And I was like, like I could hang out with you Monday, but how about Thursday?
I remember that was exactly how it went. Yeah.
I'm like, I want to know I want to hang out with him, but am I gonna say yes at like the first date?
Right. Yeah.
I remember I was so
dumb.
proud of like how I went about it. So we're flipping each other off in the street corner, and I got told to stop by a cop, and he was like, I'm gonna get you for public intoxication. I was like, well, I'm sober. And he was like, you're a liar. And so I
Test me,
stopped,
bitch.
and then because we had crossed the street a few times, it was crazy. We'll have to tell the whole story sometime, but it was crazy. And so anyway, we ended up like she came back across my side of the street, and she's like, ha ha, like I win, you lose, because it had become a competition.
Oh, yeah,
we
we were
both
battling.
full, like
Yeah.
we were, but like
Yeah.
we were on the same page of like, I'm gonna outlast this person. And then I stopped, so she was like, I win, and I was like, well, too bad it was a best 2 out of 3. Give me your number so we can schedule the next round.
That's smooth.
and
was
I
really
felt
smooth.
really good
Yeah.
about that. I was like, damn, that was my best.
If I would have been there, I'd have been like, oh shit, yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
give it
I
to
was
him.
like, yeah,
That's good.
for
but
sure. It's like,
then-
your name's Cody, but I'll give you. The
but then I remember that you were like, yeah, I'll just put my number in your phone, because I had my phone. I was like, what's your number? And you're like, I'll just put it in. And you were taking forever, and I was like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you doing?
She's
She was
thinking of a
trying to
fake
Venmo
number.
herself money.
Oh my
freaking
god, that's
way.
amazing.
I was like, what type of apps does he got on here? I was like, I wish I could find Venmo right now. And I was like, damn, he's getting impatient. And so then I was about to actually put in my information, and a text comes through.
Oh, I forgot
And
about
it
this.
pops up on the screen, and it says, tell her you want to eat her ass.
Oh,
It was my friend
like,
from
what
across the
the-
street.
Oh my god.
and he was like, I'm gonna ruin
I was
this
like, do you
right
want
now.
to eat my ass? And they were like,
He probably was like,
I remember I played it
was
nice.
it?
I was like, I mean, yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
And then we took a picture of me fake eating your ass.
that was our first picture.
That's so cute.
And so anyway, I finally got her number in my phone, and I was like, hey, we got to schedule like the next round of our duel. It's a best 2 out of 3.
Right.
And so then she's like, not Monday, Thursday. And I was like, pretty clear. I don't remember the exact wording, but like I made it clear, like I'm trying to ask you out on a date, not like, hey, let's like chill,
Yeah, yeah.
And so the rest wasn't exactly history, but here we are now.
something, yeah, here we are.
So that was
Worked out.
awesome. Yeah. And everybody that hears about the story is like, no way. And then like they see the video and like, no way.
That's awesome.
It is
Yeah,
awesome.
it was really cool.
It was.
That was like during the vlogging days, and it was like the one day I didn't have my camera, and you had told me, you were like, it's a good thing you didn't, because you would have been like, what the fuck? Get out of here.
I don't know what I would have done. At that point, I was just trying to entertain all of my friends. And
You were
they
doing a good job, though.
They were egging me on. So
Yeah.
I was going to
You got to
keep
go
going.
along with it. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Why
I was
stop
committed.
whenever you can cross the line and keep going?
I was committed to the bit.
right.
It was really
Yeah.
funny. It was really funny. And I remember because like I don't drink or anything, so I've been around like girls that get drunk and like go crazy. So I thought like when we finally started talking, she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so drunk! Like, isn't that crazy?" And I thought it was gonna be like a major eye roll, but no, she was super cool. She was like, "Yeah, I owned your ass, like bitch." Like, I made you my bitch, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Like, I like this.
This girl's cool.
Yeah, I remember. I really like. I thought it was cool that she wasn't like, "Oh my god, I'm so crazy, crackhead energy." No, she was like,
Crackhead
"Fuck
energy.
you." Like, I win, you lose. I was like, "Damn, that's nice. That's nice."
Oh my god.
But that's our I guess experiences approaching the opposite sex. Marisa, you got to keep us updated on your quest to. Oh, okay, let me ask you this.
Oh God,
Marissa,
I'm scared. This is unscripted.
If you are to enter a relationship or dating situation, would you rather be the one that like goes for it and makes it happen, or do you want to be like approached by a man you find attractive? Like, if you could pick, how would you have it go down?
I feel like approached, but like in a nonchalant way.
Yeah,
I think
You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to be like so obvious that it's like uncomfortable for me. I want it to be like very natural. You
so
know
like
what I
really
mean?
low key, like you're
Not
out
like,
somewhere.
Hey, you're hot. Let me take you out. Like,
So
yeah,
you're
or
out
something.
somewhere and they walk in
know.
with a trumpet, and like Marisa Martinez.
No, I would literally run away, hide, and I would fall off the face of the earth.
I think Marissa though likes to have like control of what's
yeah.
going on, not with like everything. I'm talking about like when
Like
it comes to a
dominatrix
boy,
stuff.
like she wants to be the one to like make the jokes and like come off like you're the one interested, but like if you were to come off, you'd be like, oh my god, what, he's saying it back.
I would just be like taken off guard because I'm not used to it. I'm just like, ooh, I'm just like been such like an independent person my whole life. Like you know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know, whenever that kind of stuff
I'm not
happens,
answering
I'm literally like,
for you. Sorry. Yeah,
they're like, oh no, like I really think you're beautiful. I'm like, yeah.
you're like, yeah, titties.
I'm like, yeah, this sack of shit, sure. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know how to react. I'm not like,
no, your voice will probably get all
I
deep.
literally get
yeah.
all deep, and I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. Like, I don't know. It's just so funny because it's like, I don't know how I'd react
Do that-
because I don't see myself doing it until afterwards, and I'm like overanalyzing every thought, like everything I said, everything I'm thinking. I'm like, what just happened? I blacked out.
I could see you doing that TikTok, like saying in a response to someone calling you pretty, and you just be like, she pisses when she farts. Sometimes she shorts. Booty rocking cowgirl.
Depending on the person, if they were like close, like if we were already friends and have been friends for a while, then maybe I'd say that. But like, if it's a new person, then like, I don't know.
Then maybe you'd say that.
I don't know.
She's like,
If
I
I'm
think
trying to
it's
get
it.
them away from me, I'm going to use that next time.
She pisses when she
Someone's like, hey,
farts.
like, I think you're really pretty. I'm like, basically, she falls. Sometimes she shorts.
He's like, did you just say you piss when you fart?
And I'm like, I don't know, sometimes.
Now that brings up an interesting question. If some romantic feelings were to develop, would you want it to be like a friend that becomes something more, or somebody that you haven't been friends with previously?
I don't know. At this point, I'm open for anything. Like, come on, just give me something. But then it's like at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just all big. I don't know how I'm feeling.
Okay.
Maybe I should talk to
You
a
don't have to
therapist or
know.
something.
You don't have
Yeah, you don't
to
have to
know.
know. I think,
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think
that's why I'm
anybody
just
really
like-
knows. Everybody's just trying to figure it out as they go.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever worry that if you wait for someone to approach you, it's not going to be the person you want to approach you?
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. So it's like it's kind of like if I know that I can see them like eyeing me across the bar and I'm like not really like finding them like physically attractive, or like if they tried to come up and talk to me before and I just didn't vibe with it, then I'm like, then I'd be like very like standoffish, like, oh yeah. Cool. Like not my talkative self like normally, like how Blake said earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I don't know. Then if it's someone that I'm vibing with, then I'd go up to them and be like, you know, we kind of talked earlier, and then I'd continue the conversation, or like kind of throw a little joke and then just continue the conversation from there probably. So
And you're a good conversationalist.
Yeah, you are.
I think she's very good at
Maybe.
making people feel comfortable.
You are, yeah.
yeah, it's one of my weird qualities. People like to just throw their whole entire lives on me without me asking, and I listen.
But
So-
yeah, that
Wild.
is one thing. Like it's funny because like Marissa's seen me at like some pretty low times in my life, and
Like
she,
short to get low, or like it's low, like
it's
you're
like
sad.
fucking sad.
Yeah, it's,
Like
yeah,
not
they're
throwing
sad.
any ass. I'm sad.
Yeah.
And like, but this one time though, I could tell I was making her like uncomfortable with how sad I was because I
Oh.
I just like found it was like a really
I
terrible
wasn't
thing.
uncomfortable.
It's
It's
really
just
making
like
me
I was
uncomfortable.
just
She didn't know like what to do.
That's my
well, I was
boundary.
just letting you get your emotions out. And
I
so I was
know.
just sitting there just waiting. If you wanted to hug me, I was waiting for you to hug me. If
But
you wanted-
it's so funny because whenever I was like done, okay, so what we had planned to do was we were gonna get these protein shakes, and I had gotten this call of this horrible thing that had just happened. Marissa was with me, and after I get done crying, like really hard, like fucking breathing hard and shit, she goes, "Do you still want the protein shake?"
I just wanted to make sure.
I know, and she was just
was like,
trying to help, but in that moment, I was just like.
I was like, you need to eat something. You can't just sit there.
But it's funny to like look back now because she just was like, you know,
Like I was rubbing her back and like listening to her and like, you know, just letting her deal with her emotions because it was a lot at the time. And so then I was like sitting there and I was like, well, I know I want the protein shake, but then I was like trying to like,
it's like we're already here, you know. Can you dry it up a little bit and just get on in
no,
there?
I feel because I was gonna go in and grab it for us.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know, maybe that'll like help like calm down because it's just like a drink. So you know, whenever they tell you to drink water, whenever you're like hyperventilating, so I was like, oh, this is like a thick shake.
Yeah.
So this will really
There you go.
help
the
her clear it up.
mucus will
Yeah, you're
just
really
like
gonna breathe.
pile up right in my mouth.
So would.
Oh man.
But it was like looking back now, I can be like, damn, that was a tough moment. But she asked me if I still wanted my protein.
I try to
shake.
find like little humor, like make people laugh in like
Yeah,
those
that's-
tough times, just to where it's
talent.
not like, you know,
yeah.
all sadness. But it's like, okay, that's a good way to break up the sadness. You're just like, what the fuck? No, I don't know what I want.
You need that
Okay.
friend. You need that friend.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, that's really
Has
interesting.
a girl, Cody, has a girl ever hit on you or pursued you?
I would say probably, but I probably haven't realized it. I would say that I'm pretty low on the awareness scale in general, not just with
Literally,
being
yeah, I feel
with
that.
being like approached by women like in a hit on way, but I would say in general, I really am not very good at knowing what the people in the room are thinking, how the people in the room are feeling. That's why a lot of times I'll make a joke that's like wildly uncalled for or like really wrong place, wrong time, and not even realize it.
really pushing the limits with that one. Yeah.
Oh, I do. This is my best friend's like favorite story about me. It involves like the way that I approached a girl. So not exactly what you asked, but this was years ago. This was like 2 weeks ago. This was years ago. I think I was definitely out of high school. So I'm gonna say like 19, and we were at a restaurant. And I had I like water with no ice, and usually they just
Same.
bring you an ice water, and I'm like, oh, could I get one with no ice? And so the waitress was like, ugh, like you're so needy. I was like, always. And so like already there was like a little bit of because she had said something before that. She comes back with a water and it has like a single ice cube in it. Wait, I'm trying to remember. Oh no, as she walked away, I was like, and if there's a single ice cube, I'm going to murder you. And so she brought, because I had said single ice cube. So she brings it back and there's a single ice cube. And she was like, it does have a single ice cube. And
She was shooting her shot. for
She
sure.
was.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a good
the
way to do it.
banter.
And so I guess,
Yeah.
I was being hit on. But my response was I picked up the steak knife and I grabbed her and pretended to stab her. And I made the sounds. I was like, I was like,
my
I told you I'd fucking kill you. And so
She probably was like, can someone else take this?
My best friend was there, and he like the way he tells it. He's like, "Oh my god!" Like he's looking around for cops. He's like, "Oh my god!" Like we're gonna get arrested. And she just starts cracking up. She's like, "I should have known." And we ended up going on 2 dates.
Aw.
That's awesome.
And
Nice.
so
Yeah.
and so
And then you murdered her. That's why she was.
that's why there was never a third date.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't wait any longer. But
I told
but
you.
I guess if that counts as like. But I do remember that, like, because I didn't really think anything of it, and after she walked away, he was like, "That was really bad. Like, that could have, like, you could have been arrested." I was like, I didn't actually kill anybody. He's like, yeah, you just can't do that. And so like I was unaware that could be perceived wrong. Luckily, it ended up working out. But I guess if her bringing the water back with one ice cube, you know,
It was definitely flirting.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
I'm a banter flirter,
Yes.
hardcore.
Honestly, if somebody can't banter with you, do you want to hang out with them at all anyways? And no.
no.
like I would say that like half
Boy,
of our
bye.
communication is bantering.
Absolutely.
Like that's how
For
we're always
sure.
flirting with each other.
I like
yes.
that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you?
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
You're into it?
I am into
Do
it.
you?
Do you?
Yeah.
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 Oh man.
I would say that was a good question. I was because I'm thinking of if I've ever been hit. Oh, has anybody ever?
Eating your ass.
Ooh, good question.
Good question.
Yes. The night I met Cody.
It was the guy that she went out with after me that night. Like she met me that night, and then she went home with somebody else, and they ate her ass.
Aye.
And she was like, "That was fun, but that first guy was kind of cute." She was picturing me while he was eating her ass. So.
It's easy
Yeah.
to do whenever they're behind you.
Or
Yeah,
she
you
was,
just-
she was picturing you while she was eating his ass.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know?
Blake, answer. So you've had your ass eaten. Have you had your ass eaten?
Wait, really?
Yeah, you asked it. Marissa, have you had your ass eaten? She's laughing. That's a double yes.
I'm not commenting. What? What is that kind of question?
I didn't know we were gonna be serious.
You don't want to answer? How was it?
I mean, I say anything with like your butt, like you know what you're getting into. So like, if that's what you want to do, like I'm not gonna stop you. That's how I've always looked at anything butt related.
My friend said that she was in the shower and one time it just slipped right in the bed. She goes, I cried for 3 hours straight.
God.
Wait, slipped in what?
Slipped. They were just having sex in the shower.
Oh, they're having, and the
Oh,
dick
okay,
slipped in
okay,
her
okay.
ass.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And she said she cried for 3 hours.
Because it was so good? No, I'm just kidding.
No, obviously. Obviously the opposite. She said, I was just sitting there in the fetal position saying, I never want to do that again.
And he was like, "What if we used lube though?" He
He's
was like, "Never again. That's kind of extreme, babe." So
Okay,
Marissa,
what were you
yes,
gonna
no,
ask?
no comment.
Oh, sorry.
No comment.
No comment. Paige, yes. Me, yes. What's your review of it?
Of my ass
Of getting your
ate?
ass eaten?
You know, it's cool every once in a while. I would say like there's other things that are just like more enjoyable. Like in a way, it's just like okay, you're down there, you're doing your thing, like it's cool. But I'm not gonna like come from it. Like, I'm not like an asshole orgasm. Like
What
I'm
if
just
you
not
really
gonna-
could like
ass
come from
gasm.
getting your ass eaten?
Maybe you. I'm sure some people.
Some
can.
people probably can.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I doubt it's
I'm
impossible.
literally so.
So you said like it's cool every once in a while, but there's things that are more enjoyable. Would you say that the enjoyment factor is mostly like the taboo of it?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like
Yeah, I
holy
think it's
shit, like, they're
definitely, like-
going for it.
Well,
it's
it's something
little
you
bit
can just be like,
Yeah.
I think I would laugh. Like, I think I would literally just be like, he's like, I'm gonna eat your ass. I'd be like, okay.
No, you'd be like this. You'd be like, oh.
I'd literally just be like, sure. I don't know what I'd do. I'd just be like, what?
Like, it's like a reverse shit.
Oh my god. Oh damn.
I
took a
think
turn. So
Hey, what were you gonna ask? You were gonna
I
ask
was not
something, and then I
expecting that.
said,
It was
"Had
your
your
ass.
ass eaten?"
Oh, I was gonna ask a way more boring question than that. I think you're right. It's like the ass eating. It's like
He's still going ass.
no, it's like that's a good point. It's much more like in a vacuum. It's like okay, yeah, it's all right. You know, it feels good, but it's more like damn, like this is really happening. Like it's more the mental side of it, which is also a big part of sex. Which brings me to my next question: the differences in like sex, guys and girls. We were talking a little bit before we recorded that there is like I was just talking about the episode plan with you guys, and you said there was like a million things that you would say to guys like about sex, and we had a little bit of a good conversation. I want to continue it. So Blake, you said there was some comments that you had just in general about how sex is maybe different for guys or girls, or maybe like what you would say, advice you would give, feedback.
If you are a woman and you're not enjoying it, like tell him what you want, and like don't let him think that he's super good at something if he's not. Like it's okay to be like, hey, like didn't come, sorry, you know, like didn't. I mean, like, but that's just how I am. Like I'm open about that. Like I will tell them if I did or didn't, and I think that's okay. And like I just hate when I have to hear about girls saying like, I just wanted it to be over. And I'm like, okay, if you wanted it to be over, you should have just stopped it. Like, don't make him like keep going. Just be like, we're good. You know, like
Don't be uncomfortable
being
with
more
Oh man.
like saying what you want, not being scared to say what you want and having confidence in that.
I think
So-
that's a great point, because not only is it empowering for a woman to not have to not feel like they have to fake it or pretend like, but it also, from a guy's perspective, it would help me out. Like if I was doing something that, like I'm just thinking like, because I think guys are kind of like dogs. If like behavior that is rewarded will be continued. So if I'm doing something and I'm receiving signals that the girl likes it, because like people who say they can tell if people are faking or not, I don't think that's true. Because you don't like, I don't. So if I think that the girl is enjoying it and I'm like, oh, when I do this, she loves it, I'm going to keep doing
Yeah.
that. So then the next time she's going to hate it again. And it's going to be like, God, he fucking sucks at this.
And then,
but
yeah, and I feel like sometimes girls are like, oh, he's bad at it, or like he doesn't know how to do it, and it's like, bitch, fucking tell him.
yeah.
Yeah, have you ever
tell
had a
him.
conversation?
Yeah, like-
absolutely.
Just like don't be so like you're having sex already. Why not just like try to enjoy it?
What's harder, sex or a conversation?
I know, right? Exactly.
But
Why not?
I think it is true that a lot of people would rather have bad sex than a tough conversation.
Yeah.
Because that conversation is
It's like an ego
uncomfortable.
thing
I
too.
was gonna say,
I feel
maybe
like
depending on like your partner and how
for-
they perceive.
yeah.
I think even for the
Criticism.
most like connected, like those conversations are just objectively uncomfortable because you're talking
Right.
about like something so raw, intimate, and physical, and you're like, let's talk about it and break it down. When I did with my hand this to your body, did you enjoy it? How much did you enjoy it? What if I were to do this instead? It's like, that's a very strange conversation to have, but it's kind of like, are you willing to have that uncomfortable conversation for the benefits later? Like I heard this saying, I really like cheesy quotes, and I really like this one. It says, the quality of your life is directly proportionally related to how many uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have. And I think that applies to relationships, sex, marriage, life, work, whatever.
Sure.
It's like if you're willing to have some of these uncomfortable conversations like, damn, babe, like, listen, our sex is just not sexing for me, you know? Like, we need to do this or try this, or even if you don't know why, it's like maybe you're not feeling satisfied and you bring that up to the guy and he's like, damn, like I was kind of sensing that too. I just didn't know how to approach this. You can just figure it out together.
Yeah.
But way easier said than done, obviously. Like those
Right.
conversations are
Absolutely.
tough.
I think women a lot of times don't have the experience and sometimes don't even have a clue what they want or what feels good. And I think in a way, like I started having sex pretty young. I was like 16, and thankfully it was a good experience because he was a good person.
Wait. I wasn't your first? No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
That would be weird if you were my first. I was like 30. when we met.
I'd be like, she waited.
I've been waiting for you forever. I have no idea what I like, so everything's good. Yeah.
Sorry,
So it's
continue.
I remember like being 16 and thinking, well, he should know what to do. Like I had no idea like what I wanted, what felt good. I was just like, you know, this is fun. And like we've been together a little while, so like I'm ready to have sex. I remember like I initiated like the conversation. It was like, you know, I think it's time. Like it's been 6 months.
It's been one day. I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm 16 now. So
Yeah.
you know, it's
I'm a
time.
woman.
I have a pube and a period. I'm a woman.
I have one pube, and
You know, they say to be a woman, you need the 3 Ps: a pube, a period, and a penis. And all you were missing was the penis.
Wow.
that's all I needed.
So-
you know, so I really made him work for it for 6 months, and then I was like, you know what, it's time. We've been in a committed relationship, and you know, I had no idea. I remember like we were together. That first relationship I was in for years, and like I was like 20 years old before I ever had my first orgasm. Yeah, I had no idea.
I mean,
like
I guess
Did you
what I
think-
wanted,
did you-
what I
in high
liked.
school.
Did
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
think that you were having orgasms prior? Did you know like what an orgasm felt like?
No, I didn't. I hadn't had one yet. I had no idea.
Even like
So-
with just yourself, you had never had one?
no, No, my first orgasm was like actually having sex with my boyfriend. Yeah.
Were
when I
you
was
like,
20
oh my
years
God,
old.
what the
I
hell
was
is
like,
this?
this is what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's about
I think that's what it is.
I remember being like, at that point, I was like, I know exactly what happened to get me there. That is what's going to
Do
happen.
that again every time.
You know, you've been getting yours for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
Like, it is
It's my turn.
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
this, lick this, touch this for 20 minutes.
Hold the shoulder
Blink
position
my
and
right
do it.
nipple.
And I
Yeah.
remember like soon after that, like I got my first like little handheld vibrator, and that was a whole situation.
That was
So
your new boyfriend for a while.
I was like, we're gonna find out. And so yeah, my advice to men is like, that thing is your best friend. It's not your enemy. Like it's not your competition. Like
That's
you
true.
embrace it. Yeah.
One of my friends was like, we use that almost every time.
Why not?
So I'm like, she's like, yeah, like you said, it's like your teammate. It's like, all right, let's tag him in.
Yeah.
I do know there are some guys that don't like the like they feel like there's a competition between them and
Like
a
they're
sex
not
toy.
doing enough or they're not good
Yeah.
enough.
No,
Yeah.
this is just helping.
No, it's like if the goal is for the girl to enjoy it, like
Yeah.
let's do what we need to do. Whether it's foreplay, a vibrator, like bring 6 of my homies, run a train, like whatever it is that she's gonna enjoy, let's do that. You know, like remember when I brought 6 of my homies?
I requested that.
Yeah, that's true. And
Oh
that's
my
it's about
gosh.
communication.
I had a list. You know,
I
it's
wasn't
like-
allowed to participate. That's okay.
You had
it's
the
about
video
communication.
camera. You
Yeah.
were supposed to stand there.
Or like
video.
Kim K, a little Kim K action. Right?
Is that what Kim K did? What did she do?
What was
What?
she did like a sex tape?
She did a sex tape. That's how she became
they're
famous.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well, that
She
and
did it
her-
with
that
Ray
and her
J.
dad, but like, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
true. Yeah, that's what we're
In this
just
That's
room.
why they
With
said
these
keeping
cameras.
up with the Kardashians. Because
Yeah, we
Keeping
filmed
up.
it in this room because we were hoping that like people watch it and they'll see the set of the
They'll know.
podcast. They'll be
Promoting.
like, damn,
Good marketing.
Yeah,
Good
it's
marketing.
like it's kind of that viral marketing. You
Yeah.
know,
I see.
grassroots.
I feel
I'm glad
that.
you guys cleaned. It smelled very bleached in here.
Yes, yes. Well, that's just I didn't even clean up. That's just because Paige is a clean girl. You know. I want to talk now about gender roles, and I would say that gender roles, but I want to mix it with like gender roles and communication. So gender roles traditionally between a man and a woman in a relationship. Like let's isolate it to that. Traditionally, old school back in the day, it was very much, you know, the man went out and worked, and the woman stayed at home, cooked, cleaned, and raised the kids. Now, from my perspective at least, we've progressed a long way with that. You know, I think there's a lot more freedom of choice, not just in couples, but also, hey, I can like do this shit by myself if I want to. Do you all feel that we have made a lot of progress in that area? Like, do you see it that same way? Because I feel like we have, but, you know, I'm speaking from a guy's perspective.
I would say yes, but there's always like minor setbacks, but I would say for the most part, yeah.
Minor setbacks for a major comeback, you know.
That's
what I'm saying?
those words almost came out of my mouth. They almost did. But I would say we've come a long way.
I've come a long way, haven't I, Paige?
Yes, you have.
That's like an inside joke because my parents will tell stories about me about like me just being terrible at being a person, you know, like unable to communicate. I never played with other kids. I was like a fucking loser. They're just telling all these stories about me. And then they like will tell Paige these stories and we're all laughing our ass off. And then they'll remember like, oh wait, like this is Cody's girlfriend where he's supposed to look cool. Like, and then they'll end it with like, he's come a long way. That's like that. And so that's like an inside joke. Paige will always be like, you've come a long way. So that's really funny.
His whole family would say it in unison, like, yes, yes, he has.
Because they'll tell a story about me just being like a loser, and they'll be, but he's come a long way. Like he's really a lot of progress. But yeah, how do you feel about gender roles within marriage and relationships? Do you feel they're still prevalent, or have we made some progress?
I mean, there's no doubt we've made progress in women being able to, you know, work. And
Yeah,
hold a
y'all
job.
can vote now. That's
can-
great. No,
Yeah, you know, that's going great too.
Yeah.
So, like, we've come a long way, and I do think that it's like, as a woman, it's like if you have a child and you're going to work every single day, there's a stigma attached to it. You feel like, I hear a lot of, I mean, I don't have the experience myself, but like, I remember my mom like going back to work after she had my little brother when I was 13, whenever she had him, and her feeling a lot of guilt and just really worried a lot about him not having her at home like my sister and I did whenever we were younger. And during that time period, like she still worked, but it was just like not as consistent. At this point, she was a teacher. She was working Monday through Friday, and my grandma was watching my little brother. So she battled with that. But at the same time, like I can imagine now if I had a kid, like I would not want to stay home. And sometimes like I hear about like I have a couple of friends who are stay-at-home moms, and they work and they they do other types of jobs that allow them to stay at home, but a lot of times that means that they have less of an income, and their husband is working a lot longer hours and then comes home, and then like they're sick of having to watch the kids all day, but then the husband's tired, and it's like that dynamic is incredibly difficult. And I think even some of the strongest relationships find like it's just incredibly challenging to like balance that out. And so I think both are insanely hard.
I agree with that. I feel like there's, like you said, that there's stigmas between like being the stay-at-home mom and also being the working mom. Like there's guilt both ways. Like, okay, well, I'm not bringing in any money, but then it's like also I'm watching the kids, which is a huge job in and of itself.
And it's not appreciated.
Not at all.
And a lot of women, like whenever they say they're a stay-at-home mom, you can see they're kind of like, but I do other things. Like, or they kind of like try to like
make it seem. Yeah.
And I could see that like if I was a stay-at-home mom, I would probably do the same thing. I would feel a need to like compensate. But when you really think about it, like they're working their asses off. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Both are just incredibly difficult for the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you're saying is like no matter what, kids put a tremendous strain on the relationship, and you never feel like you're doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna do it.
I feel like there's no correct answer to do anything anyway. I just feel like what works for you, and that's going to be different for every single person. So it's,
that was a point that I wanted to ask is like gender roles as they're shifting. Should we even have the term gender roles, or should it be like just, does that only further segment us into, men and women, or is there a lot of value in, hey, we're just individuals, we need to figure it out for ourselves? Because I think that, it's not that gender roles should be changed, and it's more so that they should be like dispensed with entirely. What do you guys think about that? It sounds like you would be leaning that way as well, Marisa.
Yeah. I mean, just like how we've talked about the whole episode, how women can be in leadership, how women can be stay-at-home moms, how men can be stay-at-home dads. Like, I feel like there's really...
Yeah, only if they're pussy.
I was like, anyways. But yeah, I just feel like whatever works for you as like an individual, that just works for you. Because like normal is relative to everyone. So it's like, it's going to differ with each individual. So
something that I've seen that I think is interesting that I just want you guys' take on with gender roles within like marriage and parenthood shifting. Something that I've seen is like, somebody went, like you talked about earlier, you're like being around some women that still think women can't be leaders. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I've seen kind of a version of that play out where, as women aren't expected to just like stay home and raise the kid as much. They have opportunities within the workplace. There's not as much of a stigma on being a stay-at-home mom. Some women still desire that. Like, no, I want to stay home and like take care of my kids and like cook and clean and stuff. And I've seen if they voice that, they get a lot of hate from other women. Like, no, we've done all this work for us. Like, you're not allowed to want that. Have you guys ever witnessed that?
I'm guilty of that.
I was going to say, yeah, because, it's just because I couldn't see myself doing it. So it's hard for me to picture someone else wanting to do it. But then you have to be like, okay, just because you don't want to do it and you couldn't see yourself doing it doesn't mean it's not good for them and their family. So yeah, I'm definitely guilty of doing it too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like that initial flash of like, God, that's what you want to do? Why?
Yeah. Like, how are you not bored? But then it's like, you're not, because you're constantly
You're the opposite
running
of bored.
around.
So it's like after that initial hit of like, damn, why? Then it's like, okay, I can understand. Honestly, like childcare is outrageously expensive.
So expensive.
A lot of places still don't pay people for maternity leave. And like, how are you expected to be able to support a family if you're dropping like $800 a month on daycare?
Right.
Like half the time, if you are going to work, it's to be paid your benefits. but then you feel guilty because you're not spending time with your kid.
Right.
And
Did you know? Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
Did you know that in like different like foreign countries they will give like the mom 2 years to
Yeah.
fucking
Absolutely.
have maternity leave, and then they can just come back to their job, and like I think some of them you can even still get paid while you're out, and it's
Paid
like
maternity leave.
what the fuck is
No, 100
wrong
you were
with
telling me-
America?
You were telling me the other day about a maternity leave program where the mom gets like
6 months. I have a friend who works for Microsoft, and they have really good, like for America especially, like maternity paternity paid leave where the mother gets 6 months and the father gets 3.
What do we get? 6 weeks or 8 weeks?
We
that's so short.
before July,
like
we
they tell you
got
you can't have sex
nothing.
until 6 weeks.
They had
Really?
no paid maternity leave. You could file for short-term disability.
Oh, I guess that's what it was under.
Yeah, or you could, you had to use your paid time off.
Yeah.
So you would have a new parent come in and say they had just started, they hadn't had time to build PTO, their wife's pregnant, or it is the mom, and
Yeah, usually the husband doesn't get pregnant.
Shut
they
up,
actually
Cody.
are like they're not carrying the baby, but they're gonna have to fucking take care of that
Right,
kid.
exactly.
Like they need paternity leave as well. So like nobody was getting any paid leave. I had one specific one that I think about a lot where she had a baby and she was worried about how she was gonna pay her bills.
Yeah.
That is
That's
absurd.
so hard.
Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
it's ridiculous.
Like that should
I
not
hear
be
you
your
here.
concern.
Yeah.
I do know. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, that's changed. And now we have a much better maternity, paternity leave up to like intermittent, I think 18 weeks paid,
Okay.
which is
Nice.
very competitive. And
Yeah.
like, I'm just really excited about it. It's like a lot of people are concerned, like, how are we going to cover it? But we're going to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's been
It'll bring more
change
people
for us.
to work for us. So
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah, that's so
And
much better.
retain.
stay. Like, dang.
I do know that like some of the, like in my journey in golf, I play with a lot of European players, and they said like, their healthcare is just way better anyways. But like specifically when it comes to like maternity and paternity leave, they said that I don't know which specific country it was, but they said there are some where the mom will get like a year and a half, and the dad will get 6 months of like full paid leave.
Isn't that insane to
Yeah.
think?
That sounds
like,
great.
Like
Yeah, it
at
does.
teachers at my school, we had 8 teachers pregnant at my school, and
Oh, shit.
they
Like
literally
recently?
this year.
They're making them
And,
lockdown babies.
And they get like 6 weeks, and then they can file to get 2 more through AFT, which is like a Fidelity teachers program, and then they can file for 4 more weeks, so it's up to 12. But with those last 4, you don't get paid at all, and like teachers already don't get paid shit. So
Yeah.
it's like
Oh my gosh.
you're gonna have this newborn baby and like just be like, okay, well, time to come back to work. Like,
Damn.
start leaving your newborn with the daycare. You know,
Yeah.
it's just it sucks.
You're like, little Timmy, you didn't change and clean your own diaper and
How
reuse
dare
it?
you.
What the fuck?
You didn't wipe your ass. Okay.
Oh, man.
I think the one thing that hasn't changed much is that it's still typically the mom who stays home.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And I think a lot of times it is by choice, and I understand that. Like, you're the primary caregiver, you carry the baby and you're breastfeeding or whatever it may be. But even after that, it's typically like the mom who is staying at home. I think a lot of that also has to do with like the fact that women usually don't have as high of paying jobs. Sometimes that's because they've had to take maternity leave or stay home with
Right.
the kids, so they haven't
So they
had
can't.
the years of experience,
Right.
like the years to build towards a career, which is something that happened to my mom whenever she stayed home with us is whenever we were kids. So, I look at that, I see my mom, and I'm like, damn, she made the biggest sacrifice.
Right.
Like she sacrificed retirement, her education, like she started late because she wanted to stay home and take care of us. And I think that was the most selfless thing,
Right.
somebody could have done.
Either
So.
kids or career almost.
And that's why I'm like,
So
that's selfless, and I'm not trying to do that. That's really hard.
yeah. I was gonna say my
Dang.
mom was a working mom too, and we had babysitters. And so I mean, both my parents, they were like lucky enough to pick us up from school at like 3:30 or 4. We just did an aftercare program at the school, but like still, I mean, they were working parents all day, and we'd see them at dinner time and then come back in the morning and do the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. pretty one, popular, and two, funny. Daycare works for me. I'm just kidding.
I've told my mom and my dad I'm waiting to have kids till they retire so that they can be my daycare.
Honestly, yeah. That's so smart.
And they retire. Like my mom's, I think 7 or 8 years, and I'm like, that's
Old?
Perfect. Yeah,
Same with my dad.
How is that possible? I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say my dad's old, so makes sense.
But I'm going to wait. I am.
That's smart. I got to patch things up with my granny, like, so she can watch my kids. I robbed that hoe one time, and she found out it was me, and so we're on the outs right now. But if I patch things up, she might take care of my kids one day.
Hopefully.
You robbed your grandma?
No, that's a joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, I mean, yeah, I've taken a few T-shirts of my grandma's, but
If you let your parents babysit your kids, one time my grandma babysat us when my parents went out of town, and I remember, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the details. So my grandma was watching our house, and it was like raining outside, and she said, "You can't go outside; you'll catch a cold."
oh, of
And
course.
I was like, "That's a wives' tale." And she was like, "That you this is my house, my rules." I was like, "This is my parents' house." And
How dare you
So
speak to your
Who
granny that way?
snapped you? Who think raised you?
me and my
Oh, you're
granny,
the parent.
listen, I'm the first to admit it was at least 50% my fault. Me and my granny, we beefed a lot. We never got along. I'm not totally sure why. I feel like she was throwing some heat my way too. It wasn't just me, but it was definitely part me. And so I decided I was going to go out anyway. So I snuck out to play in the rain with my next door neighbors who were my close friends at the time. And we played all day in the rain, and she saw me outside playing.
She bust your butt.
And she got so much, started yelling at me. She said, "You get back in this house." I was like, "No, I'm staying outside and playing in the rain. This shit is fun." And
well, no wonder she didn't like you.
so then,
You talked back.
well, I wanted to play in the rain, and I thought it was ridiculous that I wouldn't be allowed to play in the rain. But that's because my parents, if they had a rule, they would explain why the rule was that way. And so I guess, well, that's not entirely true. Sometimes because I said so, it was very popular.
That's a big excuse.
I guess I don't know. I just did. I think it was because I was always allowed to play outside. So I was like, why can't I play outside? And anyway, long story short, she was like, "All right, well, you're not coming back in this house." And she locked all the doors. So at the end of the day, I tried to go home, and I was beating on the door, ringing the doorbell, and she came to the door, looked at me, waved, and went back to the room. And so for half an hour, I just tried to get in. We didn't have a garage code or a hidden key, and I couldn't get in. So I was like, well, so I went back to my neighbor's house. I stayed the night. The next day I came back, and she unlocked the doors in the afternoon. Didn't say a word. We never talked about it. And then when my parents came back, they were like, "How was everything?" She's like, "It was fine." And I was like, this bitch locked me out. And
It reminds me of the
Like-
abuela on Encanto.
When
She's like, "Don't mess anything up."
yeah, it's so sad.
She locks her out of the house.
I know.
You can't be here.
So we've talked about a lot this episode, some gender roles, some situations that women and men face differently, how we interact as women and men. Let's round it out with some final thoughts. Do we want to start this direction or that direction? Which do you have
You
anything?
can start here. Oh, do you have a question, or
No, I
is
want
that
just
you
your final
any
thoughts. Yeah. What's your final thoughts of today's episode?
Women rule, boys drool.
Amen, sister.
True.
Final thoughts. Women are badass. They can do just anything that a man can do, if not better. Okay. That's my final thought.
All right. I love it.
I have to agree with that. I have no further words. She
Okay.
took them all out of my mouth.
Simon.
There you go.
Paige, what do you want to add?
I think you talked way too much this episode.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's all about equality,
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's what feminism is about.
Yeah.
So
It's about elevating women over men.
we need
That's
to
what
set a
feminism
timer.
is.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the definition.
Oh yeah, the definition is that men suck. That is true. I was telling you guys about it before we were recording, but that was Paige is joking. She's quoting the first barrage of hate comments that I got on TikTok. I posted a clip, and every comment under the clip was that I talk too much, I sucked at podcasting, I was trying way too hard. And I admit my feelings were hurt a little bit.
Get off the stage. Boo, this guy stinks. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. This guy stinks.
So I did what anybody does, like when they're going through a struggle. I got my girls together and we talked it out.
That's right.
I'm going to add that my final thoughts are that I would think the definition of feminism is a little more towards equality, personally, rather than elevating women above men. But I do think that gender roles in and of themselves are kind of useless. And I think it's much more about us as individuals, and that there is no like set of roles of any group, whether it's race, gender, religion, nationality, that each member of that group can or should fall into. And that, you know, grouping people like that only serves to further trivialize the experience of the individual. And so I think it's much more about the individual. And so I really like that we're able to sit here just as 4 equal members of society. Me slightly better than all of you because
No, I was going to say but we're a little bit better than you.
Yeah,
So.
we are a little bit better than you, especially at pickleball.
Oh, damn. See, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stop the recording and we're going to go play. So we'll see you next episode after I win a game of pickleball.